Well, life on the farm is kind of laid back. Ain't much an old country boy like me can't have. It's early to rise, early in the sack. I thank God I'm a country boy. Well, a simple kind of life never did me no harm. Raising me a family and working on the farm. Days are all filled with an easy country charm. Thank God I'm a country boy. Well, I got me a fine wife, I got me old fiddle. When the sun's coming up, I got cakes on the griddle. Life ain't nothing but a funny riddle. Thank God I'm a country boy. When the work's all done and the sun.
When I turn on the news, I see a country that's divided. Don't matter what the channel, it always feels one-sided. They tell us that it's us first, them as our country comes unwound. It's time we come together on our hollow ground. Remember 9/11 when we all stood side by side. Americans not enemies, a country full of pride. They try to force us into boxes, you're either blue, you're red. Instead of digging in, let's find some common ground instead. One thing that I know to be true, patriots come in red and blue. Yeah, blue. Just because we don't agree, don't mean that we should hate each other. Whatever happened to love one another? Remember 9/11 when we all stood side by side. Americans not enemies, a country full of pride. They try to force us into boxes, you're either blue, you are red. Instead of digging in, let's find some common ground instead. One thing that I know to be true, patriots come in red and blue. And blue. Just because we don't agree, don't mean that we should hate each other. Whatever happened to love one another? Remember 9/11 when we all stood side by side. Americans not enemies, a country full of pride. They try to force us into boxes, you're either blue, you are red. Instead of digging in, let's find some common ground instead. One thing that I know to be true, patriots come in red and blue. Yeah, blue. Just because we don't agree, don't mean that we should hate each other. Whatever happened to love one another?
And that's a true song. Whatever happened to love one another? I like it. And hope you guys are having a good Monday. Wednesday. Yesterday, we had to play a rerun. I was not live yesterday. Had a couple of things I just had to take care of for the food pantry. We had a huge donation for the homeless ministry. But I'm back today, and it is a Wednesday. And we're kicking in here, 2:59, waiting for the 3 o'clock strike so we can actually start the show here with the incredible theme song. Let's see if it's going to work. Nope, guess not. Dave, if you're out there, it's not working, pal. That's okay. This is Macil Duncan. Welcome to the Macil Duncan Radio Show. We are live here from Chattanooga, Tennessee, and we're excited about what's going on. We are now being broadcast in 37 states. It was 30, was 32, 35, now it's 37. Yes, 37 states have picked up the Macil Duncan Radio Show on a variety of platforms, stations, and those of you that like and share the show. Thanks to StreetLevelAmerica.com. You can catch all my shows and all my archive shows at StreetLevelAmerica.com. And between that and USAHeartbeat.com, they're able to track all the downloads of the show. And it's pretty amazing how that all works out. So we appreciate all those that like it, and tell your friends. Don't forget, if you want to call in and say why you love the show or why you love America, call this number, 629-282-1776. 629-282-1776. Well, today we'll be having a Democratic strategist call in. I've asked him to call in. He's a person I met. We're kind of pals. He likes to feed the hungry. And he actually ran for mayor here of Chattanooga a few years back. And my friend Matt is going to call in and just want to get his input on what's going on with the current race, because there's a shakeup in both sides. You got to admit, both sides are a little bit. They're doing all their little tricks and their dippity doodahs. It's getting down to the nitty gritty. And for Kennedy and Shanahan to pull out of the Democratic Party, and now Tulsi Gabbard endorsing. And it was interesting that John Kennedy is now endorsing Trump, but when Tulsi Gabbard endorsed the following day, he posted, let's see, Wonder Woman has joined the Super Friends or whatever, the Avengers, whatever. So as he was trying to make these analogies, folks just went off on Facebook and the internet, posting all these superhero things. So it should be interesting. Just think about it this way, guys. In about 2 months, we'll know what's going on, okay? August is about over. You got to live through September. But the early voting starts in October. And by November 5th, you'll know who's going to be the next president. And hopefully some of this craziness will die down. I don't know about you. But one thing that I know is going to be good is we have these opportunities, if you're like me, to get to know things and to get to learn, educate yourself, try to get the facts. You know, sometimes we can be misled, but I do my best to try to listen, especially when I can, to the actual candidates themselves. Now, before I get started into some of the recent things I think that might interest you, especially with JFK Jr., I think that's been the big interest level for many of us. I was rather happily surprised to hear that over in Ohio State, they had a kind of a spiritual moment. As much as I'm into Tennessee football, Gateway Pundits reporting beautiful Ohio State football team leads revival on campus, leading to at least 60 baptisms. I kid you not. The Ohio State football team had a revival. So over the weekend, a huge revival broke out at the Ohio State University. Hundreds of college students gathered to praise God, led by members of the school's football team. Organizers preached the gospel between 800 and 1,000 people who gathered in fellowship. By the end of the event, the school's student paper, The Lantern, reports that 60 students were baptized into the Christian faith. So how about that? Now, I'm not a big Ohio State football fan because I'm a Tennessee football fan. Because Ohio State always has that favorite. You know, them, Notre Dame, Alabama, some of them have that automatic anointing on them sometimes. But I'll give them heads up. Pastor, salute to Ohio having the gospel presented. I think that's pretty awesome. With the upcoming election, there's a lot of folks concerned. Many folks believe that the 2020 election, if not stolen, was tainted with illegalities. Even now, 68% of Democrats now believe the 2020 election had some foolery, if you will, some kind of. They're not admitting it was stolen, but they think there was odd behavior. Okay, 86% of Republicans believe that. That's probably not a shock. But here's the thing I thought was interesting: 51% of independent voters believe that the election was not only messed with, but possibly stolen. 51% of independents. Now, where are you going with that, Macil? I'm going with the fact that many people right now are getting sick and tired of both parties. The Democrats and the Republicans are seeing a lot of rebuff by their sometimes long-standing members. Robert Kennedy brought some powerful messages here recently, and I can see why the Democrats were afraid of him. If this man had been given a free voice and an equal opportunity, there's no doubt he would have won the Democratic nomination. I know he has a voice that's hard to listen to at times, but his message is spot on in a lot of ways. Now, he's not pro-life. I know that. Hyper-conservatives, I know that. I'm just saying he has to me, a genuine love for our country, and I think he really wants to do some good things. And so he struck a nerve. But here's the concern a lot of us have is some of this, like the Federalist reported. Postal Service Access plans to reroute Nevada absentee ballots and other mail to California for processing. There was a plan to try to take Nevada, because Nevada right now is a swing state, and Trump is up in Nevada. So how do you deal with that? You reroute the ballots from Nevada to California to be counted. Well, that has just been stopped by the Postal Service, thank God. But that's the kind of foolery that happens, and it gets both sides. It makes both sides look bad to where that's when folks say, I'd just rather be an independent, or I wish there was a third choice. I don't know about you, but I just believe we have the technology. They could have one vote per person. The election could be over in a matter of hours, and we would know by midnight who the winner is. They don't want that. Both sides like the shenanigans. They like the games. They like the money, the under-the-table stuff that they hope to God we never know about, but one day I pray will be revealed. But I think what's happening with the Kennedy and the Shanahan move from the Democratic Party to supporting Donald Trump. Now, this is in the Daily Wire. RFK Jr.'s running mate blisters Kamala's Democratic Party and praises Trump. On Trump, he wants to listen, understand, verify, and then say, all right, who's going to help me get it done? Now, this is interesting. Nicole Shanahan, if you don't know her, she didn't do a lot of speaking. She was his vice president, but she has a big checkbook because she was married to the guy that owned Google. When they got divorced, she got a big chunk of settlements. So she's a very wealthy woman. Put in millions of dollars herself. She paid for those Super Bowl ads that Kennedy had, and those were powerful ads. And while Biden was in the race, if you remember, Kennedy got up to double-digit leads in certain states, and even in certain national polls. He was in double digits, 11, 12, 13, and one time 14% of some states, which made him dangerous to the Democratic Party, thus pushing Biden out because many thought there was going to be some silent pushback votes that would just go to Kennedy from the Democrat elites, or not necessarily the elites, excuse me, the middle ground Democrats. Are just kind of tired of everything, but they don't want to go on record. So what you're seeing now, it seems like, with Kamala, they brought Kamala in to bring a young, fresh face to hope to quail some of that. The problem is Kamala and Walsh are so left that even Shanahan, who calls herself a progressive liberal, she says she can't get on board with them for two reasons. It seems like, one, she felt the whole way they went about picking her was not fair. They didn't get elections and votes. And secondly, they didn't allow for any healthy running mates to run against them. So as we look at that, she was on the Chris Cuomo show. And I think I've got a clip of this. Chris Cuomo used to be at CNN. His brother was the governor of the state of New York. He was fired from CNN, and now he's on News Nation. And he's rebounded rather well. But here is his interview with the former VP, Miss Shanahan, Nicole Shanahan, who is following Kennedy and backing Donald Trump.
Just quit. Bobby Kennedy joined Trump. What is this really about? Was it a good move? Who better to ask than his running mate? Bobby Kennedy Jr.'s running mate is, of course, Nicole Shanahan, who did virtually no press during the campaign. Now, she's one of these mega donors, but she actually put her money where her mouth was and got involved in the process. I don't have any problem with people spending their own money. She spent like $19, $20 million of her own money with Kennedy. I have no problem with that. Do with your money what you want. She's open and transparent about it. She previously gave over $100 million to help elect Democrats, but now she says she too is endorsing Trump. Why? She's here to explain. Nicole Shanahan joins us now. How you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you, Chris? Good to see you.
Thank you for taking this opportunity. And first, what do you make of my lament and exposure of how much money is now motivating the game?
It's refreshing to see, Chris. You just did a really great breakdown. $10 billion estimated to go into this campaign. What is that money being used for? Well, I can tell you, it's being used to take out opponents. And I can tell you the Democrats, even though they've raised less from their top 10 donors, they've put an enormous amount of money compared to the Republicans to take out third parties. PACs specifically designed to take them out. We haven't had any of that from the Republican Party, and that has been a real learning experience for us. Could have never expected it, anticipate it, but it had a really big impact on me and how I've been trying to assess where that party actually is today, where the Republican Party is. Neither is great, as you mentioned. Both kind of are in the pockets of big business, but there are certain principles that are foundational to protecting our democracy. I think one of those principles is allowing third parties to have a free and fair opportunity to compete. And the lesson here today is that, you know, we're at a time where, as a third party, we had to decide if we were going to create a coalition. We had to figure out what our priorities were going to be. We were going to stick to our script around chronic health. That is our #1 priority, has always been. And so here we are today.
That little bit of Shanahan there, and she has aspirations of being the governor of California one day. I wish her well. Now, again, she wouldn't line up with me on a lot of conservative issues. I realize that. But what she has said is she cannot stand the behind-the-scenes power moves, because she's got a big checkbook. She knows what she's talking about. And the interesting thing is you've got to ask yourself, what has made so many Democrats leave the Democratic Party and coalesce around Donald Trump, who is a former Democrat? Okay, now you got Kennedy. What a name, the Democrat name, running now and helping a Republican. Shanahan, I just mentioned. You've got Elon Musk, you know, who's always been a Democrat and a supporter, has now said he's supporting the GOP and he's endorsed Donald Trump. You got Tulsi Gabbard, who just endorsed him the other day. You've got Vivek Swamy, who made his money in the pharmacy, field. And he was told to be liberal, endorse all these things, Black Lives Matter, and all these movements, and he did, but he didn't do it to their liking. So they kind of, if you watch the interview on one of the podcasts, he just said eventually they ticked him off because they were forcing him to say things he didn't want to say, and so Vivek broke ranks with the liberals. So a lot of folks say, now, wait a minute, how do we know that the liberals aren't coalescing to take over the GOP? I've heard that theory. I don't think that's a possibility. I could be wrong. But the bottom line is Donald Trump seems to have had an awakening, if you will. He had an interview with Dr. Phil. Maybe you heard about this. And with Dr. Phil asking him what happened, he said, God saved me. See what you think.
You answer, why were you spared?
So there had to be some great power, because you just can't say millions to one. I used to say 1,000,000 to 1. It's much more than that, because, again, you have to pull down the sign. There has to be a reason to go right, and I never go right. There's no reason. And not only go right, it's for about 1/8 of a second. It's not just right. It's out of all the time that we're on this planet, it's 1/8 of a second, right? So I shouldn't be with you. So
is there a purpose?
Well,
is there a reason you think you were spared?
I mean, the only thing I can think is that God loves our country and he thinks we're going to bring our country back. He wants to bring it back. It's so bad right now what's happening. When you look at the crime, the horrible things that are happening inside our country, and it can be solved. It can be solved fairly quickly. It has to be God. I mean, how can you say it's luck when it's, 20 million to 1? Okay, I mean, it's just not possible that I was in that position. It's the only position where that bullet could have missed.
And you believe in God?
I do.
You believe God's hand was in this that day?
I believe so, yeah, I do.
And you talk about the country. You believe you have more to do. You weren't done. You were spared for a reason.
Well, God believes that, I guess.
Now, that's a powerful minute and a half when if you think about it. So, we're back.
Hi, this is Kat from Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I just wanted to say how much I love your show. I love the topics that you cover and all the special guests that you have come online. It keeps things really fun and interesting. Thank you.
WVMG Chattanooga. We are growing better together all the time. Those are the words of Dr. Steve Ball of Metro Tabernacle Church in Chattanooga, Tennessee. One of the ways that they grow is with life groups. It's very important for you to get connected in a small group so you can develop relationships and hold each other accountable. Dr. Ball says they believe that Metro Tab is growing larger and smaller at the same time. Life groups are an important part in developing relationships with others who share your interests and are dealing with similar life issues. Why don't you get connected? Check out life groups and the many other offerings at Metro Tabernacle Church in Chattanooga, Tennessee. They want to be involved in your life. The address is 2101 West Shepherd Road, just off Highway 153 at the airport exit. It is time for the Church of Jesus Christ to roar. That is one of the core principles of Metro Tabernacle Church in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Their mission is to restore the roar in the body of Christ by establishing a foundation of faith in the Word of God through the power and demonstration of His Holy Spirit. They will reclaim the original intent of God for the church through training, equipping, releasing believers, and raising up leaders who will carry the roar of the Lion of the tribe of Judah to build strong local churches. And we all need that. You can find out more information by going to their website, myroar.org. Metro Tabernacle Church is located at 2101 West Shepherd Road, the airport exit off of Highway 153 in Chattanooga. Let's roar. It is time for Christians to roar, to make a difference in the community. That is the belief of Metro Tabernacle Church and Dr. Steve Ball. They have the School of Roar. The School of Roar is hosting a summer 2024 The Prophetic. Classes open to everyone and registration is free. Do you want to learn how to work more in the prophetic? Attend one of the class schedules. Registration deadline June 2nd. There will be a class Tuesday, June 18th at 6:30 p.m. and one again July 16th at 6:30 p.m. You can register at the website metrotab.net or myroar.org. That is myroar.org. It is time for the church to roar.
Hey, just want to let you guys know my book, Move Your Mountains, Learn the Journey of Faith. It's got a special sale right now at Thrift Books. If you go to Thrift Books, you can get my book now for $13.81. Thrift Books is running a sale right now, and you can get my book, formerly $19.99. It's $13.81. If you'd like to go to Thrift Books and get the book, Move Your Mountains, by me, Macil Duncan. Appreciate you guys considering the purchase. Well, as we get back to what's happening in the world, Israel launches a major attack West Bank. See what you think.
Israel launched a major military operation across the northern occupied West Bank in territories where Hamas militants have a stronghold. In a post on X, the Israeli military said it killed at least 5 militants and apprehended wanted suspected terrorists in a counter-terror initiative. According to the AP, Hamas announced 10 of its fighters were killed in the West Bank Wednesday. The IDF conducted airstrikes and sealed off the city of Jenin, confirming it carried out the raids as a large counter-terror initiative in collaboration with the Israeli Security Agency. The governor of Jenin said the IDF was blocking access roads to hospitals and blocking exit and entry points into and out of the city while destroying infrastructure. A spokesperson for the IDF said they were preventing Hamas militants from using the hospital as a form of shelter. Israel says it's in the first stages of this operation with a mission to crush Hamas and Islamic Jihad groups.
So bottom line, Israel launches a raid into the West Bank, kills at least 10 militants, and so it's still going on. But the key is this. I don't know the timing. You guys can guess this or not, but when this started, October 7th, almost a year ago, this was started because Biden unleashed some frozen funds that Iran had did not have access to because Donald Trump had froze those funds. When he got access to those funds, Iran, the things that started happening was these attacks, their movement globally, actually, the attacks on various embassies. So the thing is, now it's blown back to here in America. You've got the Palestinian riots, and somehow those were funded. We're not sure how. And Mayor Adams from New York has actually said these things are trying to radicalize our young people with a global network. He said, I'm not going to stand for it. So you have a Democrat that stood tall. And I respect Mayor Adams for his stand on that. He also said he will not allow them to take down the American flag and fly other nations' flags in its place. So he made some very strong statements, and he seems to have tried to live up to that. But he's also been investigated and raided 3 times by the FBI. So every time he made a major stand that sounded to me like common sense, all of a sudden the FBI decide, hey, we better check him out. And I don't understand why the FBI allows themselves to be used that way. I guess they're just taking orders, but it's just very odd. But with that said, the Israeli war going on against Palestine, and then the Palestinian college movement. I hate to tell you this, guys, but every 4 years, right before a presidential election, it was Antifa. Then 4 years later, it was Black Lives Matter. Then now it's the Palestinian movement. It seems like right before a presidential election, you could almost guarantee 12 months out there's something that someone's out there planning to stir this disunity and complete anger among the people. You got to wonder, is that why they really hated Kennedy? Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said he wanted unity, and he when he spoke, that's probably why he had the highest favorability. That's one thing when you looked at the polls between him, Biden, and Trump, he always ranked higher than both of them in favorability. And when he did the head-up matchups, he blew Biden away. When he went against Trump in certain states, he actually led a point or two. I believe Trump led overall with that because Biden was so weak. Well, now when you bring Kamala into the race, and don't forget about Jill Stein and the other guy that's running, those folks, they're trying to claim that somehow that Kamala is going to win. I don't see it. If the election's fair, I don't see Kamala still has yet to really give us any real, genuine platform policies. But she's starting to take away from Trump. She first said she's going to take his tax on tips off. Well, that was a Trump policy. And the second thing is now she's saying build a wall. Now you may say, Macil, what do you think the people think? Well, here's a lady on the street. She was a lady of color, who's being interviewed by a blonde white lady who is a liberal, obviously, because she can't believe a woman of color says this. Check this out.
Davy has not bought in. Trump's rhetoric has clearly had an effect on her in an astonishing way.
Have you decided who you want to vote for?
Honestly, no. I'm leaning towards Trump.
And why is that?
A lot of the stuff Kamala says is kind of like what Trump has said, like no taxes on tips.
Bingo, bingo, bingo. We have a winner. She said one of her reasons for leaning to Trump is because she feels that Kamala Harris is taking his stuff. You know, I mean, you guys remember being on the playground and you're playing with something and some kid comes over and takes your toy. What do? You cry, you get mad, you get frustrated. You tell the teacher. When it comes to voting, you have to look and say, wait a minute. Kamala has not come up with any policies, but she's now stolen two of Trump's. She said she's going to do the tax on tips, and now she's saying, we need to build a wall. The czar, the border czar, has now decided we need to build a wall. Oh, and thirdly, she said now she's not a big fan of EVs, electric vehicles. But listen to let's go back to this interview. Listen to this lady almost berate this young lady for not agreeing with her.
Leaning towards Trump.
And why is that?
A lot of the stuff Kamala says is kind of like what Trump has said, like no taxes on tips was something that was kind of reiterated by Trump beforehand. She's just kind of been caught up in a lot of lies.
She's been caught up in a lot of lies. Kamala is pretty much a liar, and here is one that the lady mentions, and see, I agree with this lady. See what you think.
Like what?
I think lying about her heritage was one of them.
You think she lied about her heritage?
Yeah, I believe she's just Indian. I don't think she's black.
She is always identified as black. She is half Indian.
Well, I think that's something we can definitely agree to disagree on.
She said that's something we can definitely agree to disagree on. And the lady reporter just, and I don't know if you caught it right here at the beginning, she kind of berates and says, been caught up in the Trump, let's see how she says it.
Davy has not bought in. Trump's rhetoric has clearly had an effect on her in an astonishing way.
Trump's rhetoric has had an astonishing effect on her. As if this lady can't think for herself. If I was the average black American, I think I'd be outraged the way the DNC, especially back in 2020 when Trump says, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. The DNC tries to tell people of color how to vote or how to live, or else. They want to throw a blame shame on you. I think it's ridiculous how this lady was treating this young lady on the street, and this was the end of the interview. See what you think.
Yeah, I believe she's just Indian. I don't think she's black.
She is always identified as black. She is half Indian.
Well, I think that's something we can definitely agree to disagree on.
And there was no convincing her otherwise.
And there was no convincing her otherwise. The tone, the attitude. How dare a lady of color, and she even said, I've not made up my mind, but I'm leaning Trump. She didn't say for sure she was voting for Trump, but she did call Kamala out as a liar. Now, this is interesting because Kamala Harris was awarded in 2016 the first Indian senator, and she embraced that. She did not say, oh, by the way, I'm black. No, she took as the first Indian senator in the history of America. And so, yeah, I think she's lying. I'll be back.
WVMG Chattanooga.
Hi, I just wanted to share that I love the radio show that Macil does. He just tells it like it is, which is so refreshing for a media outlet. He has an easygoing and uplifting personality, and he just makes you feel like you're a friend sitting in their living room talking. He does not fall for the gaslighting of today, and he shares the truth of the matter. I love his sense of humor, and his sound effects are great, like when he whistles, cracks me up. He has so much wisdom, and his variety of guests is just awesome. I learn a lot from his show. He does his research, obviously. So I just really wanted to say thank you, Chattanooga Radio. I just love this show. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
917society.com, led by Joni Bryan from Nashville, funds the National Education Order 108447 in 1959 that declared Constitution Day in public schools, and that's something we sorely need. More than 1 million kids last year got a free copy of the Constitution, and this year's goal is 2 million kids. Imagine that. The Constitution in the hands of 2 million American kids. On September 17th, all public schools are to distribute and educate students on the Constitution of the United States. If you'd like to help out, 917, that's 917society.com, led by Joni Bryan of Nashville, Tennessee. And remember, the goal this year, 2 million copies of the Constitution in kids' hands. And you can help. Again, the website, 917society.com. Jesus said, "You do it unto the least of these, and it's as if you were doing it unto me." There are many hungry people in our communities. The Appleton Food Bank feeds over 3,000 people every month, and they could use your prayers. In these troubling times, the number of clients they are serving is increasing. You can make a donation today. Go online to AppletonBaptist.com. AppletonBaptist.com. Food drives, prayers, financial donations, all help. They have rented 2 old grocery stores. They're open 7 days a week for donations, and they distribute every Monday and Friday. The motto at Appleton Baptist Church is taking Jesus as he is to people as they are. And you can get involved and help feed the hungry. Go to the website, AppletonBaptist.com. You know, there is someone hungry in your world tonight. So as you're seated tonight at your dinner table, enjoying the mashed potato and steak off the barbecue grill, remember that there are many people in our communities, in our world, that are not as fortunate as you are. So please consider donating your time, funds, and food to your local food bank or food pantry. And as you enjoy the barbecue tonight, please remember them. Check on the widows, elderly, and the orphans as well. You can donate in the Appleton, Tennessee area to Appleton Baptist Church. They have a food pantry there that would love your support. And there are many food pantries all over America. We need to feed this nation in more ways than one, but one way that we can literally feed them is with food. Get involved and make a difference.
Hey, my friends, just want to do a shout out. You heard the manager here talk about the Appleton Food Pantry. If you'd like to help us raise funds to feed the hungry, just know there's a car show coming up September 28th. That's right, September 28th here at Appleton Baptist Church, where I pastor. There is going to be a car show. Last year we had over 105 cars enter into the car show. We're expecting even more this year. All the funds raised will go to help feed the hungry. It's $20 per car. There's no fee to come. If you just want to come look at the cars, just come on. It's going to be great. We've got lots of vendors here. There'll be a lot of vendor trucks, barbecue and other kind of food, ices, popcorn, all that good stuff. But it's $20 to enter a fee per vehicle. It's September 28th, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Appleton Baptist Church. And again, all funds go to help us feed the hungry. And going around feeding the hungry is a joy. We've got a large donation yesterday. As I said, that's why I didn't do my live show. Because the ministry comes first. So there's times I don't do my show because I'm needed either at the pantry or for the homeless ministry. And as we were going around picking up this large donation and then dispersing it to several ministry partner teams, there's a teenage ranch around the corner that helps 14 to 20 young girls with Bible studies and gives them work opportunities. They work on the ranch. They get the lodge there if they're in a need to have a home. And so we like to help that ministry. We also helped another ministry where a lady that teaches Christian voice and piano from her home. Just lots of stuff. We help out with the soup kitchen downtown. And of course, ours, and there's 3 sister churches we share sometimes with that also have outreach to homeless and to the underprivileged. I encourage you to get involved with some kind of a food ministry. It'll bless your heart. It takes time. And I know of 3 churches in the area that tried a food ministry. They thought it was pretty easy. It's not. It's hard work. It takes a commitment. And it's not for everybody. But if you can't lead one, then support one. And if you'd like to help us, you can go online at www.appisonbaptist.com. appisonbaptist.com. Please give us a donation. Help us feed the hungry. Well, as we move on here, there's a study that reveals only a fraction of global climate policies actually work. Did anyone notice at the Democratic convention they did not really talk about climate change or EVs, electric vehicles? 2 of their big thing, the green energy that they ran on in 2020. It's been a dismal failure. And here's a report. See what you think.
The world has come up with hundreds of initiatives to help address global warming, and it turns out only a handful actually work. That's according to science.
That's according to science. Google doesn't like when I expose.
Who recently analyzed the results of 1,500 climate initiatives from a host of different countries over the last 20 years. Their research found only 63 policies actually made a meaningful difference. These emissions reduction strategies included bans on coal plants, fossil fuel taxes, emissions trading schemes, and more. The study's lead author noted that more climate rules didn't necessarily translate to better results. The nations which had the most success in bringing down their greenhouse gas output were those that utilized a mix of various policies. For example, initiatives like banning gas-powered vehicle sales only worked when paired with tax or price incentives. But different nations have varying needs and resources. So there's no one-size-fits-all approach to be taken here.
And that's agreeable. So the big blow up that, hey, we're going to take the world to green energy, it's been a failure, much like the vaccination craze has been a failure. The monkeypox scare hasn't worked. Nobody's getting the shots. They have now they only have 5% of folks that have gotten the shots to this point. At this point, when they did the COVID scare, you had 46 of the population in America getting at least the first shot. The monkeypox shot, not even 5%. Why? Because people are waking up and saying, wait a minute, I'm going to think for myself a minute. I'm not going to let MSNBC, CBS, Fox News, or someone else scare me or motivate me to do anything I'm not comfortable with. Good for you. America, you're waking up. Now, if you want to know something that is interesting, it's how I'm shockarooed at this. This is CNBC. And one of Harris's talking heads is on there trying to explain this new tax and how it's going to benefit. And believe it or not, the liberal media attacked this guy and said no. And at the very end, listen, he goes, that'll never get through. That'll never get voted in. Check this minute and a half of pure word salad amazement liberals fighting amongst themselves.
Unrealized gains, taxing unrealized gains just doesn't seem fair in any sense of the word. In the very best sense, in the very best sense, if you are taxing unrealized gains, all you're doing is pulling forward the taxes that would be paid later when someone actually sells the stock.
I think that this reaction to unrealized gains is a little funny, given that I bet that the majority of people watching right now are already paying a tax on unrealized gains. It's called a property tax. When the value of your home goes up,
that's an old. It's a use tax.
When the value of your home goes up, you pay higher taxes, even if you don't sell your home.
Your value of your home never moves the way a stock moves, the way something else moves.
That's always the go-to answer.
It's also, property tax is a use tax. You're paying for the schools. You're paying for emergency services. Those are things that make absolute sense.
And sure, and all the revenue that comes in from these unrealized gains taxes and the other taxes in the Harris plan are going to go to creating what.
Now, he calls it the Harris Plan. It's not on a website. And he bumbles, listen to his voice, he bumbles saying the Harris tax plan because she's not completely given any of her plans.
And sure, and all the revenue that comes in from these unrealized gains taxes and the other taxes in the Harris plan, from these unrealized gains taxes and the other taxes in the Harris plan, taxes in the Harris plan. Taxes in the Harris plan.
He looks very nervous. I don't think he even knows what he's talking about.
Are going to go to creating what she calls more opportunity. It's to make sure that
it's not
what she calls creating more opportunity. Do you notice how he kind of makes sure she gets all the credit for this? Listen real closely. He doesn't want his name attached to this.
Calls more opportunity. It's to make sure
but
that
it's not
every
a use
newborn
tax
born in
for
this
the people
country
who are actually
gets $6,000.
using the services.
Well, look, you're arguing that this is some sort of foreign concept that's completely unknown in the U.S. tax code.
It's probably unconstitutional. It's probably.
This guy chimes in and says it's probably unconstitutional, and he's about to rip him a new one. Now, I want to just let you get ready for this. This is CNBC. I'm shockarooed with this.
It's probably unconstitutional. It's probably, and it was never in anyone's intent.
It's not income. It's not an income tax.
And it's never going to happen, probably.
And the guy says it's never going to happen. A liberal commentator said it's never going to happen to a liberal Harris spokesman. So you've got to think, man, this is pretty interesting. The other thing I think was a little telling on what's going on is there seems to be a little pushback on the January 6th minutia. I think a lot of folks are not in agreement, and Nancy the Fancy...
Well, hi there, folks. Welcome to the program.
Another video has released, I'm going to pull it up here, where she is caught in the hallway talking about the problem here. And this is Fancy Nancy, and her daughter actually recorded this.
Videotape that's released. This is not all of it. My friends over at Just the News released it. Politico released it. This is some of that. Let's watch.
We're going to McNair.
Well, if they stop the proceedings, they will have succeeded in stopping the validation of the President of the United States. How many times did the members ask, are we prepared? Are we prepared? We're not. Prepared for the worst.
You hear what she just said? How many times did the members ask, are we prepared? We're not. We needed to prepare for the worst. Now, wait a second. How many times did the members ask? I thought we were told this was all a giant surprise, that President Trump orchestrated this mob to storm the Capitol, which we now know was an unorganized tour of the Capitol at best.
Bingo. Go back to the NPR, which is the news press release. You know, every morning about 4:30, there's a thing called NPR. It's a news press release, and it's sent out globally, and it gives you stories to consider in your news broadcasting, but that's why there's such talking heads. Did you know on January 6th at 4:30 in the morning, the NPR made a statement such as this: Trump supporters stormed the Capitol. How'd they know that at 4:30 in the morning? I thought that didn't happen to, 2 or 3 in the afternoon. can we say set up? The other thing that's come out is the pipe bombs that made when the Republicans and Democrats, were supposed to go in and they were going to affirm what the Electoral College to affirm Biden, but there was a group of Republicans that were going to call for a recount. Do you remember that? Ted Cruz, Marsha Blackburn, Mike Johnson, who's Speaker now, several of them, and all of a sudden, pipe bomb scare, and they had to take the Congress to one area, Senate to another, and Vice President Mike Pence to a secret holding underneath the chamber. We come to find out through video security evidence, they found the pipe bombs the night before, and they'd already been dealt with. So the day of the vote, there was no pipe bombs. So, the third thing I'll just mention, how come there's thousands of footage of the January 6th and they've still not released it? Many folks believe that if they would release the footage, many of the January 6ers, citizens that just were exercising their freedom of speech and their right to say their view, would be freed from prison. Just like, remember the shaman guy, whatever, I can't remember, the QAnon guy that had the horns and his face painted and all that. They released enough footage there to prove he was not violent, as they were verbally saying. There were Capitol Police that are on the take, and they were lying. Why? I don't know what makes people lie, but they did. That's a shame. So Stinchfield, you can go to Gateway Pundit, and Stinchfield has a 34-minute podcast on there if you want to catch the whole thing about Nancy Pelosi. And there's also the footage of her in the car admitting that she messed up and that Trump had offered to give the National Guard. But I don't know if you know this. Speaker of the House is a very important position because we didn't have a Senate. You know that. When we founded the country, it was the president, the vice president, and Speaker of the House. That's why Speaker of the House is third in line. We added a Senate later. We used to only just have the Congress. And you'd have representatives from each state there or province. Savvy? So that's why the Speaker of the House has so much power. President, Vice President, Speaker of the House. Speaker of the House controls the finances. The President puts together a budget, okay, and sends it then to the Congress. The Congress therefore tweaks it, and once they get their version of a budget, they send it to the Senate now, which has been added, for approval. And if over 2/3 approve between the two, it overrides a presidential veto. But if they start adding pork and things like that, the president can veto it and make it come back and start all over again. Okay, that's the process. So the Congress, the Speaker of the House, has the power of the purse. The Speaker of the House also is charged with security of the D.C., not the president. The president is not allowed to bring, unless we are at war, he's not allowed to bring troops into the Capitol. It's to protect us from ever having supposedly an overthrow. So it's the Speaker of the House duty to ask the president to then send National Guard or troops. Savvy? You got it? So Nancy Pelosi on tape has been verbally saying this. There has been letters that has now surfaced that Trump sent to the mayor of D.C., to Pelosi, the sergeant of arms, and different ones saying, do you need help? Are you afraid about security issues? We heard you were concerned. All this time, they led you to believe that this January 6th thing was just a big surprise shockaroo. But going back to the NPR, they knew something because they put an NPR, a press release at 4:30 in the morning on January 6th that there would be Trump people charging the Capitol. Then the last thing I'll say on this, there was buses that are on video that pulled up right next to the Capitol that had folks in unique outfits that stepped out, and many feel they were plants, just like you see in many of these other Palestinian, Black Lives Matter, and Antifa groups they're paid agitators. I don't know. This country, There are people that would love to see a civil war, or see you and I become at odds with each other just over political candidates. We've got to rise above that. We've got to say, you know, I've got an opinion, I've got a vote. And we've got to pray that there will become a day when there's honesty back in, that there is a shadow government. I have no doubt now. People call it the shadow government, what have you. But I believe that there is a shadow government, and I believe it's nefarious, especially with the Chevron ruling. The Supreme Court, when it made the Chevron ruling a few weeks ago, that completely legitimized these secret courts and these secret lawmaking groups that were never elected by the people or really appointed by a president or a process. They just emerged. Go back and read the Chevron ruling the Supreme Court just did and see how many of these things are going to happen. The reason they did that is because the courts, the federal court system, they were allowing a lot of things to be handled by these private secret groups, which shouldn't be happening. Nothing should be secret. I don't believe there should be any secrets. And I hope President Trump releases all the files on the Kennedy assassination. Now, we find out now that Mike Pompeo, who was, when Trump was made president, he made him the CIA director. And then he left the CIA and became the Secretary of State. Mike Pompeo begged Trump and said, if you release that, you'll do great damage to the country. Why? Because we'll find out the CIA is not our friend. The Central Intelligence Agency. And I want you to do me a favor. If you're a big history buff, go back and look under FDR. He poked the bear and got us in World War II. Okay, he kept sending our submarines and messing with Japan and messing with the other forces. He wanted them to strike America because the Congress would not agree to get on either side. As a matter of fact, if you go back and look, the Kennedy's father that made his money during bootlegging, he said make peace and an alignment with Hitler. He's unbeatable. Go check that out. So the Kennedy's father, the one that got their wealth, if you will, he was an ambassador, and he said we need to join the other side, which was the bad side. He said we need to join Hitler. We can't beat this. That's a little bit of Kennedy history. They don't like being released, but that's on a PBS special about the Kennedys. Okay, so you can go. That's liberal media reporting on itself. So with that said, you got a World War II. We kept sending submarines. If you didn't know this, FDR poking the bear. Well, they attack. We have Pearl Harbor. Okay, now it's on like Donkey Kong. We're going to send our troops. We're going to get you back, etc. And because they wanted to drop the bomb, they wanted to declare superiority. And what Hiroshima was going to happen at some point. With Hiroshima or someone, they wanted to prove we had the biggest, baddest weapon in the world. And it brought fear for decades. Well, now everyone's got nuclear weapons to some degree or something similar. So what was the purpose? Go back and look under FDR. While we were so worried about the war in Japan, he started 20 organizations, and one was CIA. Look at all the organizations started under FDR, and look how much control they have of the government, and that, my friend, is the actual birthing of the swamp. I need to bring that back. I've done a whole show on it, and I need to bring back some of those papers and let you guys see it. You can go to Wikipedia under FDR and look at all the things he started. If you just want to do your own research. But the CIA was started by a Democratic president in the middle of World War II, supposedly, to help us with international espionage. Now, they're nothing but bullies. Well, we're getting ready to start, and I'll be back in a moment. Hang on, my friends.
Hey, I'm from Texas, and I love listening to your show because y'all tell truth on there. You don't water it down, and I know what I listen to is real. And so, yes, just want to say that I'm glad that you're doing the show, and I'm friends with Jolene, and I do love America. I really do. Keep going. Gung-ho, guys, with the show. We got your back. Bye.
WVMG Chattanooga. Do you love God and do you love America? If you do, you're going to love this radio show, the Macil Duncan Radio Show, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. right here at Destiny Life Media 96.9 FM. You can also hear the show live and archives of the show at streetlevelamerica.com and usaheartbeat.com. Also hear it at MacilDuncanRadio.com, Rumble, X, Truth Social, Facebook, and more. And we're working on growing the show nationwide. The Patriot Pastor of Appleton Baptist Church, he is Macil Duncan on the Macil Duncan Radio Show. We are growing better together all the time. Those are the words of Dr. Steve Ball of Metro Tabernacle Church in Chattanooga, Tennessee. One of the ways that they grow is with life groups. It's very important for you to get connected in a small group so you can develop relationships and hold each other accountable. Dr. Ball says they believe that Metro Tab is growing larger and smaller at the same time. Life groups are an important part in developing relationships with others who share your interests and are dealing with similar life issues. Why don't you get connected? Check out life groups and the many other offerings at Metro Tabernacle Church in Chattanooga, Tennessee. They want to be involved in your life. The address is 2101 West Shepherd Road, just off Highway 153 at the airport exit. It is time for the Church of Jesus Christ to roar. That is one of the core principles of Metro Tabernacle Church in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Their mission is to restore the roar in the body of Christ by establishing a foundation of faith in the Word of God through the power and demonstration of His Holy Spirit. They will reclaim the original intent of God for the church through training, equipping, releasing believers, and raising up leaders who will carry the roar of the Lion of the tribe of Judah to build strong local churches. And we all need that. You can find out more information by going to their website, myroar.org. Metro Tabernacle Church is located at 2101 West Shepherd Road, at the airport exit off of Highway 153 in Chattanooga. Let's roar.
Well, welcome back to the show, my friend. This is Macil Duncan, and welcome back to the Macil Duncan Radio Show, broadcast live from Chattanooga, Tennessee. We're also now in 37 states, Mexico, and Canada. Carried by usaheartbeat.com, streetlevelamerica.com, destinylifemedia.com, SGM Alabama Radio, and New Jersey Freedom Network, the Tennessee Conservative Platform, God in Politics platform, and the Revolver Media from Indiana, Josh Cummings, thank you so much, as well as the MacilDuncanRadio.com that has us on X, Rumble, Facebook, etc. So we appreciate all that get the word out. We're averaging between 100 and 150,000 viewers per show on the low end, including the lives. So thanks so much. I've got a special guest calling in. This is Matt Williams. Matt is a Democratic strategist and former mayor candidate here in Chattanooga. Matt, how you doing?
Hey, good, Reverend. Good to hear from you. It's been a while.
I know. When you came out and helped us feed the hungry down at the food pantry, that was a blessing. And I remember you grew up in a Methodist church that had a food pantry.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we still feed about 200 people every week. In fact, we feed more people than we have in the pews every Sunday.
Same here. Now we're feeding about 3,000 people, which is way bigger than our church. But we have 7 churches that help us. So even if you add the 7 churches congregate, we're feeding more than the 7 congregations combined. But it's an amazing thing to help others, and that's, I guess, what you and I connected on. You know what I think's funny, Matt, is people don't believe you can be friends even if you have political differences.
Oh, yeah. Well, all of my family, both my mom's side and my dad's side, are all Republicans. And I tell people all the time, I say, look, we can disagree on policy. We can't disagree on humanity. And that's what I've always believed, is that, if you want to talk about the budget and you want to talk about fiscal policy and you want to talk about, national security, and we can disagree on how to get to the solution, but it's people's humanity that has to stay intact.
Well, you've had folks, I had folks that would call you guys Democrats, thinking that all Democrats are demons, and then there's probably people that have said that same on Republicans, and I've always said, listen, that's not fair, because I have friends that have been Democrats all their life and family members, but there's just core values we don't agree on, but there's some that we do.
Yeah, absolutely. But, and I sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, you and I both are Christians. We believe Jesus Christ is our Lord and Savior. But you are an advocate Democrat. I hate to call myself a Republican these days. I'm more of an independent. It makes Mark Harrison, the GOP, mad at me. But I just it's the local GOP I like. It's the national GOP I get really frustrated with, if I can be honest with you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that the problem is we rely too heavily on, I'm a Democrat, you're a Republican, and we don't, and then we already make up our minds as to what we think about that person when we hear that, instead of having conversations with folks. And I think that for me, that's something that I found to be successful, both for people I work with in politics and for myself, was that you just got to talk to people. And when we get past those labels and we just talk about the issues, I find that we tend to agree on more things than we disagree on.
Don't you think we got the technology now? I think we could have one vote per person. They could get rid of the cheating, but I think both parties kind of like the power underneath. You know what I'm saying? Because they like to accuse each other of cheating ballots, stealing elections, because it drives down the voter turnout. I think they're afraid. Both parties, if we really had a huge voter turnout, can you imagine we had 60-70% of actual voting Americans vote?
It would be truly incredible. We talk a lot about voter turnout when you're strategizing, when you're talking about how to win elections. And the fact of the matter is that we're number 51. Tennessee is 51st in the nation. We fall behind Washington, D.C. when it comes to voter turnout. In fact, it's so bad that in the August election here in Hamilton County, we had 9.2% voter turnout. Not 92%, not 19.2%, 9.2%.
Wow.
And I hear a lot of folks talk about registering new voters, and I said, well, let's look at Hamilton County and not even look at all the other counties in the state. And the fact is, Hamilton County has 272,000 registered voters, more than 250,000. And in a normal election that's not a presidential election, we usually have between 30 and 50,000 people come out to vote. And so, yeah, we need to have everybody registered to vote, but we need to get people out that are already registered. We need to make people excited to participate in the democratic process.
Well, I don't know if you – I know because you're a Democratic strategist. Maybe I don't know if you can agree with me or not, but I think both parties like low voter turnout because then they can you can manipulate a little bit, and and maybe have those extra suitcases pulled out from underneath the table and run them through like they did down in Atlanta, But when you have a huge voter turnout and you do that, because then if you have too many votes in some counties, when they have more votes than actual people, that right there proves voter, integrity issues. I don't know about you, but I just wish there's a way to make it all fair, and where so folks would feel their vote counts. I think a number one reason a lot of folks don't vote, Matt, is because they think the votes are the elections are rigged beforehand.
Well, I think that you just got to look at history, right? I mean, in 2000, George Bush won the White House by 552 votes in one county in Florida. And, we can go on and on about the nuances of that election and the Supreme Court case that ultimately decided it. But the reality is 552 people in Dade County, Florida, got to choose who the president of the United States was.
Let's also remember that the Hanging Chads, he actually was winning by 3,400. They disqualified almost 3,000 votes. But also don't forget the military vote comes through Florida. So he got another 3,200 votes that were Bush that counted technically in Florida, but they don't like to say that.
Well, but if the number is 550 or 3,000, that's still, the fact of the matter is there are fewer people in a city council district in Chattanooga than decided the presidential election in 2000, and so. And then taking it down to a more local level, right? I mean, county commission seats and city council seats are decided usually by, a handful of votes. I mean, 2 years ago, there were several seats that were decided by less than 100 votes. And so I think that oftentimes when people want to talk about, your vote not counting, it may feel like that at the presidential level, but I think that really helps to drive lower voter turnout for local elections, which are the folks who decide, how your schools are funded and how your potholes are filled and things like that. So every election is important, and that's why I think that you should get out and vote every chance you get. I mean, I've only missed one election in my lifetime. And it was because I was living in Germany and didn't get my ballot back in time. So
now you're a veteran, by the way, and you served. Was it the Navy or?
No, the Army.
Army, okay.
Yes,
again,
sir.
Thank you again for your service. I knew you were a veteran, and we've got about 7 minutes for the break. I know you're supporting Jack Allen, who's running against Chuck Flashman. Do you have any points why you think Jack would be better than Chuck?
Yeah, I mean, I go on and on about that. I think that there's a fundamental difference between the two of them, and Jack talks a lot about showing up, and he says all the time, you can pretend to care, but you can't pretend to be there. And Jack has visited every county in the district several times. In fact, the day after the primary election, we did a 10-county tour. We had 18 stops. We campaigned for 24 hours straight, went from 7 a.m. in the morning to 7 a.m. in the morning. And we got to meet voters across the district in every county throughout that 24-hour period. And I think that's a big difference between Jack and Congressman Fleischman is that, I mean, you can pretend to care, but you can't pretend to be there. And unfortunately, a lot of times Congressman Fleischman isn't there for his constituents. But I think, too, that Jack has my support because he understands the district. I mean, he spent his entire adult life here, grew up in the Chattanooga area, and built a bank from being one of the smallest in the state to one of the largest. Was on the hospital board in Athens, the library board, chairman of the United Way, chairman of the Optimist Club. He's always just given back to his community and feels like this is something that he can continue to give back, not just to the folks in Athens where he raised his family, but across the district, the state, and even the country.
We know Chuck's a friend of mine, and I told Jack I love you to death, but I know he's got ties to my church. but I've always supported Chuck, and Chuck's been there for me on several occasions. But with that said, okay, I'm pulling for Chuck Flashman. You're pulling for Jack Allen. We could still go out and get a burger and be friends, right?
Yeah, of course.
That's my point. Is why can't people now our food pantry? I got folks that voted for Biden and Trump working side by side, vaccinated and unvaccinated. So it is possible. But could you just, Matt, just give us a quick word? How can people still be friends? Because some folks in their family and friend base right now during election, it gets really tense. How can we help not be so tense?
I think it really just boils down to having those conversations and being willing to have civil conversations just like this, just saying, hey, look, we may disagree and that's okay. I've learned over the years there's some people, even in my family, I don't talk politics with because they can't keep their cool. And they can't, keep it to just politics. They turn it personal, and it's like, well, that's not productive for anybody.
Well, and back when you were running for mayor, remember, you were advised not to come on my show, but you did because the Democrats were worried about you being associated with a conservative. And so it's on both sides is what I'm saying. But like Warren Mackey, the commissioner, he's a pastor, but he's a Democrat. I like the guy. He's very friendly, very, very cordial. You got a lot of good folks on your team, is what I'm saying. And real quick, what's your take on Kennedy switching parties? Does that freak you guys out?
I think that I wouldn't say it freaked me out. I think that it was kind of inevitable. The rest of the Kennedy family is backed Vice President Harris and before that President Biden, and so
do you wish they would have let Kennedy primary Biden? I think that would have been and Philip Dean. I wish they would have allowed it because I think it'd have been interesting in the debates because I really think Dean or Kennedy right now would be your guy.
I think Philip Dean would have had a stronger chance than Kennedy would have
because he's got more political experience. Yeah.
Yeah, and at least Philip Dean had the support of his family. So,
well, I see. Can you imagine being poor Bobby when he goes to Christmas or Thanksgiving? He's gonna get the Heisman, man.
Yeah.
His sister she came out and blasted him. So,
she did not hold back.
I tell you, but that's what's it's just sad that it's got to come to that. So. Hey, I wish you well, and I hope I'll have you back, Matt, in the days ahead, so we can get your perspective and keep friendships alive during the process.
Yeah, absolutely, Reverend. It's always good to talk to you.
Thanks, Matt. God bless.
Thanks. You too.
That's Matt Williams. He is a Democratic strategist. He was a former mayor candidate here in Chattanooga, Hamilton County. It is a great young man, veteran. He came up and worked his tail off at the food pantry. I mean, he literally sweated. He was up there for like 5 hours. He wasn't just there to take a few pictures. He literally worked, and that's what struck me about the young man. He's for real. He's a good guy. Well, as we get ready to come back, I'll have Jolene Carter calling in just a moment from Virginia. She's in a battleground state. As you know, it's gone from blue to red, back to bluish. We'll see if there's any news in Virginia. And then at the 5:15 hour, Maria Wagner, Moms for America, will be calling in. They are finding out now that the Tucker Carlson tour is getting some extra guests, one being Megyn Kelly, and a few other surprises. And I'll let her maybe tell more about that when she comes on. But I want to encourage you guys to like and share the show. Because right now, Facebook and other media don't like to help conservative shows. So I appreciate all your likes and shares. I'll be back after this.
Hi, this is Renee for the Republic. StarSpangled.com, a mission to awaken souls and help save America, headquartered in the South. I recommend the Macil Duncan radio show because, as a former news journalist, I know how important it is to find credible sources in today's world gone mad. Join Macil Duncan on his show and me on social media such as Facebook at Star Spangled Chick to find out why loving and protecting America has never been more vital in the history of the USA.
WVMG Chattanooga. It is time for Christians to roar, to make a difference in the community. That is the belief of Metro Tabernacle Church and Dr. Steve Ball. They have the School of Roar. The School of Roar is hosting a summer 2024 The Prophetic. Classes open to everyone and registration is free. Do you want to learn how to work more in the prophetic? Attend one of the class schedules. Registration deadline June 2nd. There will be a class Tuesday, June 18th at 6:30 p.m. and one again July 16th at 6:30 p.m. You can register at the website metrotab.net or myroar.org. That is myroar.org. It is time for the church to roar. 917society.com, led by Joni Bryan from Nashville, funds the National Education Order 108447 in 1959 that declared Constitution Day in public schools, and that's something we sorely need. More than 1 million kids last year got a free copy of the Constitution, and this year's goal is 2 million kids. Imagine that. The Constitution in the hands of 2 million American kids. On September 17th, all public schools are to distribute and educate students on the Constitution of the United States. If you'd like to help out, 917, that's 917society.com, led by Joni Bryan of Nashville, Tennessee. And remember, the goal this year, 2 million copies of the Constitution in kids' hands. And you can help. Again, the website, 917society.com. Jesus said, "You do it unto the least of these, and it's as if you were doing it unto me." There are many hungry people in our communities. The Appleton Food Bank feeds over 3,000 people every month, and they could use your prayers. In these troubling times, the number of clients they are serving is increasing. You can make a donation today. Go online to appisonbaptist.com. appisonbaptist.com. Food drives, prayers, financial donations, all help. They have rented 2 old grocery stores. They're open 7 days a week for donations, and they distribute every Monday and Friday. The motto at Appison Baptist Church is taking Jesus as he is to people as they are. And you can get involved and help feed the hungry. Go to the website, appisonbaptist.com.
Welcome back, my friends. This is Macil Duncan, and welcome back to the Macil Duncan Show, broadcast live in Chattanooga, Tennessee. We're now in 37 states, Mexico, and Canada. You can catch all my shows on the streetlevelamerica.com. They're all archived there. And we appreciate all the platforms and all the folks that carry the show in multiple states and platforms. I've got Jolene Carter on the phone, and if you'd like to contact her, you can go to jolene.carter67@yahoo.com. Jolene, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I am pumped. I tell you what, I got to text you. We met with the leadership of the radio, and they were telling me we're now in 37 states, and we've got some more wanting to pick us up, and so it's kind of exciting news.
That is very good news.
So
congratulations.
Well, you guys are a part. You and Maria and the others that help with the show, and so anyway, with the election coming up, you're in a battleground state of Virginia.
That's right.
It probably gets seasick. It keeps going back red, blue, blue, red. Where is it today, in your opinion? Is Virginia swinging red, or is it going to stay blue?
Well, if there's no cheating, I think Virginia will go red. But, if you compare 2020, Biden was supposedly up 14 points. And now Harris is supposedly 2 to 3 points up. So, Virginia is definitely in play.
Well, Youngston, your governor made a deal where everything has to be paper ballot. Is that right? No machines?
That's right. He did.
Well, that was.
He made that. Mm-hmm.
Were y'all using Smartmatic or the other one? I can't remember what the other one's name is. But do you know which company you all were using?
On the voting machines?
Yeah, because George Soros owns the other, and the other one escapes me. But the Smartmatics aren't much better.
Is it Dominion?
Dominion. Yeah, Dominion. That's owned by the George Soros through one of his.
I know. Is that crazy?
Yeah, he controlled 26 states' voting machines.
That's insane.
And it just so happens he had 26 secretaries of state that he endorsed one.
Mm-hmm.
It's awful coinky dinks. So, but I just had on a Democrat strategist, Matt Williams. He's a good guy. And we were talking about how it's sometimes hard in this time to keep friendships and family tensions down. Now, you living in a blue state, I'm sure you've got Democratic friends.
Well, my next door neighbor is a Democrat. Now, I don't know him that well, but my husband, has a pretty good friendship with him. But they just don't talk politics. I think that's what.
Isn't that sad?
That's why they're still friends.
I mean, hey, that's what it takes. But it's sad that you can't say, hey, I support Trump. You support Kamala. And just have a conversation.
In 2020, he put up his Biden flag, so I went and put up my Trump flag. We have a picture of our houses next to each other with our flags out. But I noticed he doesn't have a Harris flag hanging right now. Interesting.
I think Democrats, if they be honest, I think the jury's still out on Harris.
Mm-hmm.
I think some of them, they'd be real honest, because she's not really put any of her proposals in her, one thing you say about Biden, at least he'd been in the game long enough. He had a track record, whether you liked it or not.
Yeah.
I mean, and I hate to say it, but if he didn't have Hunter as a kid, he would have had a whole lot smoother sailing. Hunter really proved in his Wheaties, but Biden himself had some. I know some Republicans are gonna be mad about this, but he had some moments. He had some bad moments when he talked about integration and jungle and all that, but he had some other moments.
He had some moments, all right.
But I would have to here's what if I was a Democrat, and I'm just saying, they let the President of the United States, Biden, who has finally bowed out under pressure, they had him speak on Monday night at 11:28.
Yeah.
And then lovingly sent him back on vacation and said, we don't want you around the convention. If I was a Biden supporter, that would offend me.
You would think so. You would think that they would be really offended by a lot of things. They didn't even get to vote for who they want to be president.
Well, that's what that's just, to me, a lot of folks now just keep everything in. They don't tell you until they get in the voting booth. Like a lot of folks said in 2016, people, they used the word held their nose and voted for Trump because they wanted him more than the other candidate.
Right.
I think now the Trump love is more out there. There's more folks bragging about you got the Trump Latinos, Blacks for Trumps. You got a lot of these ethnic groups with proud that they're Trump supporters, and et cetera. So the hatred and chasing people with red hats down, that's not happening. It's like people saying, hey, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't, just because someone has a red hat on, you shouldn't evoke violence or tell them that they're not welcome in your restaurant. You remember when that was happening?
I remember that. It happened to Sarah Huckabee Sanders in Virginia. She went to some diner and they refused to serve her. I think they're out of business now.
Yeah, it went under. Well, that Maxwell lady from California, remember, she said, get a crowd. Tell them you're not welcome here. A congresswoman instigated that.
Oh, she's crazy.
But,
yeah, she said that.
But anyway, moving on to another quick topic. What do you think about, everyone loves that Kennedy shifted over, but what do you think about Shanahan, his vice president? Did you hear her comments with Chris Cuomo?
I heard a little bit.
I played 2 minutes earlier in the show, but if you guys want to go check out the interview, Chris Cuomo, I think he's with News Nation now, and Shanahan, and she very eloquently and very politely explains.
Yeah, she did.
I thought, and she wants to be governor of California. I kind of hope she wins. You know?
Well, she surprised me. You know, at first when he announced his running mate, everybody was like stunned, like, who is this, person? But
she looks like a kid. You know,
she does.
Kind of like you have that look. You look younger than you are. Shannon, she looks a lot younger. To be honest with you, I thought she was in her 20s.
Yeah,
she's she's a pretty lady. She keeps her composure well, but she is I'm surprised he didn't put her out there speaking more. She's a very good speaker.
Yeah, she is. She put him in his place. She answered these questions and kind of, he was kind of didn't know what to do.
Well, she invested over $19 million in the campaign out of her own pocket. So anyway, it's
her husband, who is I can't remember, but he's like some.
He owned Google, and when they got divorced, she got a huge settlement.
Oh, okay.
Can you imagine if Mike owned Google?
Yeah.
Hey, just to say he owns 700 Club. I mean, it'd be a different finance thing, but I'm just saying she lives in a different world, and she's a progressive, but she doesn't like. It's not that she doesn't like Harris as a person. She says she doesn't like the process, and she even, as a progressive liberal, said there is a shadow government and a shadow process, and we saw it completely exposed, and that's why they said they joined forces with Trump,
right?
Because they felt he actually did win an election. But here's the thing: you're a mom. Wasn't it interesting when he brought out health?
Yes.
And when Kennedy ended his little speech at the Trump rally, he said, "Let's make America healthy again," and the place went nuts.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. For a parent, a grandparent, that's just weighs heavily on me.
Now, with you having your husband Mike battling cancer, you've told me you guys have changed your diet and you're looking more probably at the labels, before you eat something, etc. He's brought up some good points, and my middle daughter Rachel she's followed him for years. She said, "Dad, he's really good about exposing the poisons in the food and stuff."
Yeah. He is.
Can you imagine if Trump wins and puts him over that department that would oversee the food and the health?
Yeah, is it health and human
services?
Yes, instead of who's there now, that woman that pretends to be, or the man that pretends to be a woman.
Oh, you know what? Yeah. And I hate to say it. If you ever notice, he looks like Mitch McConnell.
Yeah.
It looks like Mitch McConnell. I'm going, is Mitch playing two? Is he playing two parts up there? I just don't know.
I know. Wouldn't be surprised.
Any more, nothing would surprise about D.C. But I thought that was interesting. We're about to go to a break. I want you to hold that thought. I got Jolene Carter from Virginia online. We'll be back after these messages.
Hi, this is Rhonda Tate. I'm from Chickamauga, Georgia. And I love listening to your show because you tell all the truth. And you're God-fearing and God-loving man. And I also love the Lord, and thank you for all that you do. I appreciate it.
WVMG Chattanooga. You know, there is someone hungry in your world tonight. So as you're seated tonight at your dinner table, enjoying the mashed potato and steak off the barbecue grill, remember that there are many people in our communities, in our world, that are not as fortunate as you are. So please consider donating your time, funds, and food to your local food bank or food pantry. And as you enjoy the barbecue tonight, please remember them. Check on the widows, elderly, and the orphans as well. You can donate in the Appleton, Tennessee area to Appleton Baptist Church. They have a food pantry there that would love your support. And there are many food pantries all over America. We need to feed this nation in more ways than one, but one way that we can literally feed them is with food. Get involved and make a difference. Do you love God and do you love America? If you do, you're going to love this radio show, the Macil Duncan Radio Show, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. right here at Destiny Life Media, 96.9 FM. You can also hear the show live and archives of the show at streetlevelamerica.com and usaheartbeat.com. Also hear it at MacilDuncanRadio.com, Rumble, X, Truth Social, Facebook, and more. And we're working on growing the show nationwide. The Patriot Pastor of Appleton Baptist Church, he is Macil Duncan on the Macil Duncan Radio Show. We are growing better together all the time. Those are the words of Dr. Steve Ball of Metro Tabernacle Church in Chattanooga, Tennessee. One of the ways that they grow is with life groups. It's very important for you to get connected in a small group so you can develop relationships and hold each other accountable. Dr. Ball says they believe that Metro Tab is growing larger and smaller at the same time. Life groups are an important part in developing relationships with others who share your interests and are dealing with similar life issues. Why don't you get connected? Check out life groups and the many other offerings at Metro Tabernacle Church in Chattanooga, Tennessee. They want to be involved in your life. The address is 2101 West Shepherd Road, just off Highway 153 at the airport exit.
Welcome back, my friends. This is Macil Duncan, and this is the Macil Duncan Show out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. Broadcasting live now in 37 states, Mexico, and Canada. We're on multiple platforms, and we appreciate all that like and share the show. I've got Jolene Carter from Virginia in, and we were just chatting here between the commercial break, and you told me something Trump did that's probably going to excite some of my audience. Because I have some Q people, some QAnon people that like my show because I'm patriotic, and I've said before I've got my skepticism about some Q stuff. But tell us what's happened.
Okay, so there's a guy on True Social, Spiritual Street Fighter 17. So he posted some Q stuff on True Social. And then Trump comes back and reposts them or retruths them or however you call it. So people are kind of interested, like, that's weird. Yeah, it is kind of weird.
And what was the post? Does it say something in particular, or?
I think some of them were like memes that said nothing can stop what is coming. Some of those cute, sayings. Also, let's see. Another message, where we go one, where we go all. A meme with Trump with the Q plus sign, kind of holding it in his hand.
Anything about popcorn and getting ready for the show, that thing?
Well, nothing about that. I don't think. But I mean, to me, this is pretty interesting because if he's retruthing this, then I kind of feel like he's endorsing it or trying to drop some cues or something.
Now, that is, I know he owns True Social, but
right.
Are we sure that is actually Donald Trump's account, or could it be Because there's people that have dummy Macil accounts. I've had people steal my identity on social media before.
Yeah, now it could be because I haven't gone there, but I saw the screenshot that showed Donald J. Trump retruth or whatever. So, but it could certainly be something like what you just mentioned. So, I never think about going over there. I need to go over there more often.
Well, I went to make a visit this week, and I met a young lady. Her and her husband, good conservative patriot folks, but they are pretty strong believers. But this was their take I thought was interesting. They said, even if QAnon proves not to be true, it made folks want to do their own research.
Right.
And
that's
not
exactly what I said.
And I said, that's a good point. People can make fun of the QAnon, but what it did, with Trump calling out fake news and QAnon telling you do your own research, I think the 50+% of the country now they don't believe what's said on the news anymore. They can say, hey, let me check that out first. And
exactly. Oh yeah.
And I think it's forcing the media to be more honest.
Mhm. I think so. I mean, it certainly opened my eyes a lot, and nothing that they told me, but just things that I started researching and reading about, and so if anything, it really did start, people starting to kind of wake up a little bit and just not believe everything they're told.
Well, you got the QAnon that effect, the patriotism that rose, and then you had the Bud lighting, that got people to push back on and say, hey, we don't want that in our face. And next thing you know, there's a big major pushback, and to where Target and all of them had to back off. Starbucks, they backed off their gay agenda, their pride stuff, and the pushback of the people. And then Robbie Starbucks did the exposure of Harley Davidson, Lowe's, Tractor Supply, John Deere. All of them backed off because
they sure did.
They capitulated in private. But here's somebody I think has just caught the right moment. Caitlin Clark, straight. She's just a no nonsense. She's really not political at all, that I can tell. But she just wants to play ball. And the people that hate her the most are the lesbians and the left. Because she has the appearance of being conservative, even though she's not made a political statement. But check these stats out. The Fever lead the league in attendance for both home and away games with more than 186,000 average fans per game she plays in. That's a 265% increase. But here's the other kicker. The Fevers hold the top spot in the league in social media engagement video views. Since April, they now are ahead of the WNBA team, as the WNBA team, the NBA, NFL, NHL, Major League Baseball.
Wow, that's crazy.
This kid's on fire, and they didn't want her on the Olympic team.
I know, boy, did they mess up there.
When Taurasi didn't even play in the final game, she missed another game. I mean, she's 42. She was, I think just like Michael Jordan kept Isaiah Thomas off the team, I think it was Taurasi that kept her off the team. That's my opinion. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, and then I heard something today that Brittany Griner, she is on the Olympic team, right?
She was, yeah.
Yeah, she's always doing something political. I don't know, but threatening something because she got her feelings hurt.
Let me tell you, I've never met a chick with that deep of a voice. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah. You ever heard her talk? She's the Johnny Cash of female sports. Zuckerberg. This is interesting. This is let's see. This is Microsoft. The Daily Wire. He said Zuckerberg White House pressured Facebook during the pandemic. The Wall Street Journal headline: Mark Zuckerberg says White House was wrong to pressure Facebook on COVID. All these articles. This is a liberal. I can't pronounce the thing. Meta Zuckerberg claims White House pressured Facebook on COVID content. So the easiest criminal case to prosecute in history, Mark Zuckerberg just confessed in writing and implicated the entire U.S. government and the Biden administration in conspiracy to commit election interference, extortion, treason, mass murder, and crimes against humanity. That's the Gateway Pundit. But as extreme that people may think that sounds, why do you think Zuckerberg felt a need to put that in writing and expose the White House?
Yeah, very strange. It could be a number of things. I mean, but he probably feels like Trump's going to win, so he better, confess or something. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how he's not in jail, or like what you were reading off. I mean, they're trying to prosecute Trump for having somebody sign a non-disclosure agreement. So, this guy confesses to everything. And what's really funny is the guy that was responsible for getting Facebook censored, his name is Rob Flaherty. He was just made Kamala's deputy campaign manager. Now, explain that one.
Anybody on the Kamala campaign staff, this is my prediction. Trump's going to win. He's going to win big. I think this is all a lot of hokey out there. I think her balloon is because if you go watch the Rasmussen on YouTube, Rasmussen's one of the most trusted polls. And he's even said, he goes, I don't know how they're getting different samples from us, but we have maintained Trump has had a lead the whole time. Yes, she gained a little ground, but under Biden, Trump had gotten up to double-digit leads in certain states. Yeah, she came in and shortened the gap, but they are not under the. She's not leading the nation, and she's not leading in the swing states like the left is trying to say. He says, but they tend to either oversample Democrats, or they manipulate the questions to where it's easy to manipulate your stats sheet. But anyway, I encourage folks to go watch that themselves. You can go watch Rasmussen on YouTube and make your own decision. But it sounds like Trump is still very strong. Now added the Kennedy, Shanahan, Tulsi Gabbard. What's your thought? Because you're in a blue state, and you're surrounded by Democrats. I wonder what they think with all these Democrats changing teams.
Yeah, you would think they would kind of take notice of that. You've got two strong Democrats that are warning you about the Democrat Party. Hopefully there's a lot of people that are kind of like Kennedy that are, they're just not so far left. And I think Kennedy will bring those people over. But Michigan Secretary of State is refusing to take his name off the ballot, even though he wants his name off the ballot. And so is Wisconsin.
And Wisconsin too, yeah. So, right. But them doing those moves, and Kennedy saying, I think, as he keeps going on Trump rallies with Trump.
Yeah.
And secondly, this is a what if. What if Kennedy ran as a Republican in 2028?
Yeah.
He's young enough, and the dude's buffed. I mean.
He is.
I mean,
but I like. He just says it. He says all this kind of stuff that we all suspect about the CIA and about vaccines, food. He is saying everything.
If he was pro-life, I'd really fall in love with the guy.
Yeah, I know that's the thing.
I went on their webpage today, and I sent in, and I actually called into their campaign headquarters, just curious of the reception I would get. And I talked to this lady. I said, listen, I'm a Trumper. I'm a conservative. But I was very touched by his speech. Mm-hmm. And she said, she gave me an email. She goes, you should send that to him. He'd like to hear that. So I sent this to an email that she gave me. And I just want to tell him, hey, man, I never thought I'd hear a Democrat say what you said.
I know.
I mean, there's some nice Democrats out there, don't get me wrong. I think Joe Manchin's a pretty good Democrat guy. Yeah,
he's more in the middle, not so far out there.
And that's another one. That's another one, though. What if he came over?
Yeah, he could.
Because he went independent for some reason. He dropped the Democrat off his name.
He did. So there's no telling. Trump might have something in mind for him. He got Tulsi Gabbard on board and Kennedy.
Did you see what Kennedy put on social media? He called Wonder Woman joined the Justice League with Tulsi, and now they've got this picture of Trump as Superman and all these Democrats representing different superheroes. Have you seen that?
I saw something about Tulsi Gabbard, Wonder Woman, but it was very quick, so I wasn't sure what it was.
Oh, it's just amazing. But go ahead, finish your thought.
Well, I was just, thinking, Kamala's so far out there, and then she picks this VP who's even far left than she is. And I wonder if people know in his state of Minnesota, in July of next year, they will not be hiring any teachers that are Christians or Jews or Muslims. I mean, they banning Christian teachers. I'll send you the article. I think it was in Gateway Pundit. But this guy, I'm telling you, if he is able to do that in his state,
I'm still amazed that he was a drunk driver when he was a public school teacher, 96 miles an hour, pretending to be deaf so maybe they would drop the charges. He pretended he couldn't hear them. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, I did. This guy lies about everything. It seems like he's worse than Biden. He's lying about things that he didn't even have to lie about.
Well, then you go and check. There's an article about him. He had to have his stomach pumped.
Oh, I heard about that too.
Remember what was in the stomach?
Yes.
Horse semen. Horse semen was in his stomach and in his mouth.
Oh, gosh.
That's something you don't do with animals. Men shouldn't do that to other men, but for him to do that with a horse. And I've seen the article. You can go look it up.
I've seen it too.
And he was rushed to the hospital. How this guy stays in any election?
That's what I was just going to say. Did they vet this guy? I mean,
I don't think anybody wanted to be her VP. I think Gretchen said no politely behind the scenes and said no because she has a political future, and so does the guy from Pennsylvania.
Right.
Matter of fact, those two would make a great team because they represent the same part of the country, so they'd probably want one of them to run and then pick someone up from either the South or somewhere else, kind of like because when Clinton and Al Gore ran, they were afraid both of them being from the South was too much because they were both Southern Baptists at the time. That's back when Southern Baptists were big, etc. I remember them; they were fearful, and sure enough, it hadn't been for Ross Perot, he wouldn't have won.
That's true.
Ross Perot took 12% of the vote his first time, and then he ran as an incumbent, and Ross Perot only got like 6 to 8%. But well, let me ask you this: we talked about Zuckerberg and the Caitlin Clark effect. What do you think about the potential of that Shanahan lady, the VP? She didn't speak, but now that she's speaking, she wants to be the governor of California. And she's young enough, she could probably be the governor if she would say she wins it.
Right.
What if she then became a mover and shaker for I'm just saying that there's a lot of layers to the future because Trump's only got 4 years.
That's right. Yeah, he does.
Well, technically he's got 2. His first 2 years, there'll be a midterm shakeup. Either he's going to lose the House or Senate. They always steal one of them. And so his last 2 years, he'll be lame duck. But he's got 2 years, but say 4. Out of all these Democrats becoming Republicans, I wonder if that will sustain or will they go back to being Democrats? What's your thoughts?
Well, I don't know. I mean, if they really understood what happens to this country if Kamala, wins, I don't know if people are starting to realize that. I feel like they are. Even some of the media networks are kind of saying some stuff about her being a little far out there, and so just kind of recently. So I don't know. I think that they're just too far out there right now for people. And
this is my theory. I think they intentionally took Walsh and put together a very left progressive, because I think they know they're going to lose, but they want to see how much of the country will vote that far left.
Right.
And you wait. They're going to do it like a science, and then they're going to say, okay, here's the hot spots for progressives. Okay. And if we want the rest of the nation, we're going to have to move to the middle. And I'll bet you in 2028, the Democrats, and I think the guy could be the governor from Pennsylvania because some Republicans like him.
Yeah.
And Brandon, more of a middle road guy.
Right.
And,
I mean, if they lose to Trump, then if they want to win again, they're going to have to rein some things in big time.
Well, this reminds me of Dukakis. Do you remember when Dukakis ran?
Uh-huh.
And he was way liberal than his party was.
Uh-huh.
And I still don't know how he got the nomination. But it was kind of a gift because, he got trounced. But I still remember that picture of him in the tank. I don't know if you remember that. But
no.
But as we get ready for because I'm always thinking what if 2028, I wonder who will take up the mantle of Trump.
Well, I know.
Ron DeSantis really messed up. He should have stayed out of the race. He could have been the guy.
Right, I agree.
And
yep.
I don't know who it could be. It could be. I don't think one of the Trump kids could take it. Eric's the only one I think, because I think Don Jr.'s he's just not as likable, and he's been living with Guilfoyle and
that kind of hurts him.
She's slept with too many governors.
I'm kind of liking Vance. He's pretty, he'll debate anybody.
JD, you're right.
Yeah, I like him so far.
And I think JD ought to. This is my opinion, and I'm surprised Trump didn't. I think they need to pick a lady to be in their cabinet.
Yeah.
And JD Vance if he runs, he needs to have a strong woman that can help bring independence in. Because I think there's a lot of ladies now, they want to be represented.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised by Trump's pick. I figured it would be a woman.
And you and I, remember, you thought it was going to be Carrie Lake.
I thought that at first, and then after it just kind of died down. So I'm thinking, well, they must have decided not to. That she needed to be a senator, was more important. So I was hoping maybe Ben Carson or someone like that. But J.D. Vance kind of surprised us all. He was not someone that I don't think we ever mentioned on this show. We were trying to guess for a long time.
Never came up. He wasn't on my radar at all. And
no, not at all.
Hey, did you hear where the police union in Arizona endorsed Trump? But it will not endorse Carrie Lake. It's endorsing the Democrat senator candidate.
That's weird.
Isn't that weird?
That is very weird.
And I'm going, what is it? Carrie Lake, there's something about her. There's people that don't like her. Do you think it's because she's so strong? If some men are intimidated by a strong woman?
Yeah, she is very strong. And that may be why Trump didn't pick her, because that's two really strong personalities going. So I don't know. She is very, very strong, and I like her. I think we need people like that.
Well, it's kind of like Sarah Palin overshadowed McCain.
Yeah.
I don't think she would have overshadowed him, but she would have cast a shadow, because she's a great speaker. But I've just noticed that I didn't see her on the RNC convention. Did she speak at the convention? I don't think
so.
I just wonder, is there something that's going to come out that's going to spook everybody? But because Carrie Lake was such a superstar, but I don't see her at now. When he was in Arizona, he had her speak, but he doesn't bring her along like I thought he would.
Yeah.
Other rallies, like he does some other people, he'll fly them in. So. Well, with the rest of our time here, tell me real quick how Mike's doing. Your husband in this battle with cancer, is it getting any better?
Well, he's battling some side effects right now, and that's not too comfortable. He's got a rash, 2 different kinds of rashes, and fatigue and then nausea. So he's still going to work. He doesn't complain, but I know he's uncomfortable. And he'll get his next infusion in a week. So we don't know if that's going to make the side effects, come out more. Probably so. But we did some research and found that if you are having side effects, it's more likely that the immunotherapy is attacking the cancer.
Oh, okay.
So because it's attacking, your skin is your largest organ. So, it attacks other organs, unfortunately. But so just, that was, kind of good to read that, although no one wants to go through all those side effects. So.
Well, if someone's out there listening and they've got a loved one or maybe themselves, they're battling a health issue, has God given you a verse or something that's helped you? Because I'm sure you've had to just really seek the Lord for strength during this time.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've just been so touched by all the people that have just kind of followed us along, and I just didn't think people would be, so kind, and it's taught me a lot. If you feel like you need, to say something to somebody, it means a lot. Just one time, if you feel led to encourage someone, please do it, because it has meant so much to us. We are hearing from friends that we haven't heard from in a long time, and it's really helped Mike stay strong and not be so depressed. I mean, friendship is so important, and you might lose touch, but encourage this scripture. Therefore, encourage one another and build each other up, just in fact as you are doing. So that's in 1 Thessalonians 5:11. So,
is he able to go to work at the 700 Club?
Yes, he's still going to work.
Good. Okay.
And he's got so many people there. He said today he was walking around, and so many people stopped and talked to him. He didn't get to eat lunch. So, I mean, that's a good thing, though. So many people care. And
I thought of Mike today. I was at that radio meeting we had at a restaurant here in town, and I was waiting for my food, and a guy came up, just started talking. He had a Tennessee jersey on, and I didn't have any Tennessee paraphernalia. I guess Tennessee fans just kind of know through the Holy Spirit, the righteous, what I'm saying. Anyway, we're talking, and as we're talking and just about life and stuff, he goes, I'm going in for to see if my cancer treatments are working.
Oh, wow.
And he's got prostate cancer, etc. Anyway, I prayed over him there, and he started praying with me. And because he told me he was a Christian, but let me tell you, we rocked Panera Bread there for a minute. Everybody around us, because I was praying, he was praying with me, and he was excited. And he told me this. After we got there, he goes, Pastor, going through cancer has made me closer with the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And it's made me not to be ashamed to proclaim Him.
That's right.
And and I everyone around us was kind of like doing the amen with the head look,
Oh yeah.
And I bet I bet y'all gonna have some of those moments where, because there's something about persecution and trials and tribulations. It just brings you closer to God.
It does, and we've seen so many things, even in the littlest of details. We've seen God working, and it really does strengthen your faith in God, and you just don't take things for granted. Really, you cherish every day. Cherish your family, because you don't ever think it's going to be you, but like what you said, you just stopped and prayed with that God. That's so important. When people do that with us, it means a lot, because people will say, I'll be praying for you, but when somebody actually does it on the spot, and we've had that happen to us, and it's just wonderful.
Well, I got to pray with a guy Tuesday morning. He's coming through a stroke. He's a former coach here in the area at Tyner High School, and anyway, he's in a wheelchair, and our men's group had just finished up. So as I prayed over him, he walked me to the door. He was in his scooter, and just it was hard to understand everything, but he was so happy.
Yeah.
And people that are going through tough times, when we just take a moment to pray with them and spend time with them.
Exactly.
But
it means a lot.
I've got to go because we're about to go to a break. But Jolene, tell Mike I said hello, and I hope you guys just know we're praying for you. Okay.
Okay, I will tell him. And thanks for having me on today.
Thanks so much, Jolene Carter from Virginia. You can go to GoFundMe, Jolene Carter, myhusbandhascancer.com. If you'd like to give a few dollars to help them out, Jolene Carter, GoFundMe, and check that out. I'll be back after this break.
Hi, this is Rob Mitchell, Rutherford County Assessor of Property, and I love to listen to the Macil Duncan Show because it's one of the few places that actually tells the citizens the truth about what's happening in their community and in America. I know that when I listen to Macil's show, I'm hearing the truth, and I'm hearing an honest man give an honest opinion. Thank you, and God bless you.
WVMG Chattanooga. It is time for the Church of Jesus Christ to roar. That is one of the core principles of Metro Tabernacle Church in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Their mission is to restore the roar in the body of Christ by establishing a foundation of faith in the Word of God through the power and demonstration of His Holy Spirit. They will reclaim the original intent of God for the church through training, equipping, releasing believers, and raising up leaders who will carry the roar of the Lion of the tribe of Judah to build strong local churches. And we all need that. You can find out more information by going to their website, myroar.org. Metro Tabernacle Church is located at 2101 West Shepherd Road, at the airport exit off of Highway 153 in Chattanooga. Let's roar. It is time for Christians to roar, to make a difference in the community. That is the belief of Metro Tabernacle Church and Dr. Steve Ball. They have the School of Roar. The School of Roar is hosting a summer 2024 The Prophetic. Classes open to everyone, and registration is free. Do you want to learn how to work more in the prophetic? Attend one of the class schedules. Registration deadline June 2nd. There will be a class Tuesday, June 18th at 6:30 p.m. and one again July 16th at 6:30 p.m. You can register at the website metrotab.net or myroar.org. That is myroar.org. It is time for the church to roar. 917society.com, led by Joni Bryan from Nashville, funds the National Education Order 108447 in 1959 that declared Constitution Day in public schools, and that's something we sorely need. More than 1 million kids last year got a free copy of the Constitution, and this year's goal is 2 million kids. Imagine that. The Constitution in the hands of 2 million American kids. On September 17th, all public schools are to distribute and educate students on the Constitution of the United States. If you'd like to help out, 917, that's 917society.com, led by Joni Bryan of Nashville, Tennessee. And remember, the goal this year, 2 million copies of the Constitution in kids' hands. And you can help. Again, the website, 917society.com.
Hawaii has dramatically shifted its weapons laws in response to the 2022 U.S. Supreme Court Bruin decision. The state, known for strict weapons restrictions and low gun violence rates, now allows open carry of weapons in public spaces, from firearms to battle axes to blades.
Wow, that's happening in Hawaii. Who would have thought? But you never know. That just broke in the news. I thought that was interesting that Hawaii now. Don't forget, former congressional Hawaii Tulsi Gabbard just endorsed Donald Trump. So Hawaii may be making some turns for the good, respecting the Second Amendment. You're having a former very left-leaning congresswoman who endorsed Bernie Sanders in 2016, endorsed Biden in 2020, but now endorses Trump. Interesting about all these Democrats coming around to Donald Trump's side of the situation. But before we go there, I just thought this was interesting. Beautiful Ohio State football team leads revival on campus, leading at least 60 baptisms. Now, if you want to go and catch this on the Gateway Pundit, it's one of the lead stories. Over the weekend, a huge revival broke out at the Ohio State University. Hundreds of college students gathered to praise God and led members of their football team to Christ. and they're saying the organizers preached the gospel between 800 and 1,000 people. They gathered for fellowship. And the student newspaper, which is a secular, I guess what you call it, called The Lantern, reports that at least 60 students were baptized into Christian faith, mainly by the football team. So Ohio State Buckeyes, I don't pull for you to win football, but pastor, salute to you and that spiritual movement. I'm glad to hear that. The Gateway Pundit had this other article. It's called Gateway Hispanic. The de-Christianization of Spain under socialism. A daily reality is intensifying in Catalina. And I'll just skip down here. Historically, socialism has been linked to atheism. I don't know if anybody would disagree with that. Just like many folks feel conservatism is linked to Christianity. But historically, socialism has been linked to atheism. And now that socialists are governing in Catalina, they are demonstrating it. The Barcelona City Council, controlled by Socialist Party, has now justified changing the names of streets and removing any of them that were named after saints or Christian names and renaming them with current-day people. Interesting, is it not? They can wipe away history with just one election cycle. The Postal Service has just put an axe to a plan. The Federalist reports. Nevada, which is a swing state, there was a move to try to have all Nevada's ballots bused to California and let California count them or massage them. That has been stopped, and that's good news. You can read more about that in the Federalist. Blaze Media says, who's next? Tulsi Gabbard joins RFK Jr. in endorsing Donald Trump for president. A lot of folks are amazed at this. While Democrats were basking in the aftermath of the abortion-studded DNC, Donald Trump was cooking up plans to steal the spotlight. And after the DNC, you wondered how he was going to get the spotlight back. Well, I think it's pretty amazing. He's got two powerhouses, Tulsi Gabbard and Kennedy, endorsing him. So it's interesting. And I think President Trump is going to make a series of announcements about other Democrats who are joining his campaign. And, you know, I want to make America healthy again, and so does President Trump. This was RFK Jr. said this. If we need to unify to take back the country, that's what we need to do, Sarah Gonzalez of Sarah Gonzalez Unfiltered said. So they think that Tulsi and Mr. Kennedy are just the beginning, that there'll be many more. Now, the other thing that sparks a big concern about election swing, Warren Buffett sells another $981 million in Bank of America shares, and they're saying if you have accounts in Bank of America, you might want to switch banks. But $981 million in Bank of America shares in an unprecedented stock sell-off, including also his stock in Apple. So something's going on for Warren Buffett. You can go catch the article at the Gateway Pundit if you'd like to know more about that. So it's interesting some of this is happening. But I think a lot of folks aren't surprised now that it's digested, but that RFK Jr. Came out the way he did, very articulately, and he pretty much excoriated the Democratic Party and endorsed Donald Trump. Let's see if you guys like this.
Independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is suspending his campaign. The twist comes after many speculated the third-party candidate would drop out of the race Friday. RFK Jr. also threw his support behind the Republican nominee, Donald Trump.
My name will remain on the ballot in most states. If you live in a blue state, you can vote for me without harming or helping President Trump or Vice President Harris.
While he's not dropping out, RFK Jr. withdrew his nomination from any swing state where he might have made an impact.
Now, here's the thing. They are blocking in Wisconsin and Michigan. They're saying they're going to leave his name on the ballots. The Democrats want his name left on the ballots. So again, the wishes of the candidate are not adhered to. So this is going to be interesting because the swing states are going to be a big play in the future here, and I think a lot of folks realize this. And this is amazing because Kennedy kind of knows how to lay it down. See what you think about what he said.
Instead of showing us her substance and character, the DNC and its media organs engineered a surge of popularity for Vice President Harris based upon, well, nothing. No policies, no interviews, no debates, only smoke and mirrors.
That's awesome.
Kamala Harris turned down debate of Fox News. Kamala Harris laughs off Fox News reporter.
I might.
And balloons in a highly produced Chicago circus. There in Chicago, a string of Democratic speakers mentioned Donald Trump 147 times just on the first day. Oh, who needs a policy when you have Trump to hate?
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning.
He goes on to say that in the entire GOP, they only mentioned Joe Biden twice. But on the first day, they mentioned Trump 147 times. And throughout the whole Democratic convention, it was almost 400, 386 times or something like that. That's all they've got is hate. And I think that's what's coming alive now, and a lot of folks are realizing it. Now, this is Shanahan, his former VP. She gave $100 million to electing Democrats before switching to Trump. This is huge. A lady that gave $100 million freaking dollars to the Democrats is now leaving the Democrats and endorsing Trump. Something's going on in the Democratic Party at the inside out, and it must stink pretty bad because she's a progressive. Listen to what she says.
How you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you, Chris? Good to see you.
Thank you for taking this opportunity. And first, what do you make of my lament and exposure of how much money is now motivating the game?
It's refreshing to see, Chris. You just did a really great breakdown. $10 billion estimated to go into this campaign. What is that money being used for? Well, I can tell you. It's being used to take out opponents. And I can tell you the Democrats, even though they've raised less from their top 10 donors, they've put an enormous amount of money compared to the Republicans to take out third parties. PACs specifically designed to take them out. We haven't had any of that from the Republican Party, and that has been a real learning experience for us. Could have never expected it, anticipate it, but it had a really big impact on me and how I've been trying to assess where that party actually is today, where the Republican Party is. Neither is great, as you mentioned. Both kind of are in the pockets of big business, but there are certain principles that are foundational to protecting our democracy. I think one of those principles is allowing third parties to have a free and fair opportunity to compete. And the lesson here today is that, you know, we're at a time where, as a third party, we had to decide if we were going to create a coalition. We had to figure out what our priorities were going to be. We were going to stick to our script around chronic health. That is our number one priority, has always been. And so here we are today.
And as you guys know, when Robert F. Kennedy spoke at the Trump rally later that day in Arizona, he ended with, "Let's make America healthy again." That has been trending big time on social media, and a lot of people are becoming more aware. And I've said this before. Say this slowly with me: Food and Drug Administration. Who puts food and drugs in the same administration? Think about it. If Kennedy were to be on the cabinet of Trump, and his job was over that department that oversaw that, I think that'd be pretty awesome. Well, I'll be back after this break. This is the Macil Duncan Show, live from Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Stars are
I saw her on Fox last night, actually.
Hi, my name is Beverly Reynolds. I'm from Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I just wanted to let you know that I feel it's important to have the Macil Duncan radio show. I listen to him and support him completely because he tells the truth that we don't hear on mainstream media concerning local, state, national, world happenings. He talks about our nation that was formed as one nation under God with the inclusion of individuals' God-given rights. He speaks about God, our Creator. He talks about our Constitution that guarantees those rights. And the people need to get involved in their freedom, liberty, and regaining and retaining and protecting their constitutional rights. So I believe everyone should hear his show. They should get involved, whether it's physical, it's prayer, whatever. They need to get involved and pay attention to what's going on, and he's putting that word out there. He's a true Christian patriot, and I wish all Americans could hear his show. Thank you.
WVMG Chattanooga. Jesus said, "You do it unto the least of these, and it's as if you were doing it unto me." There are many hungry people in our communities. The Appleton Food Bank feeds over 3,000 people every month, and they could use your prayers. In these troubling times, the number of clients they are serving is increasing. You can make a donation today. Go online to AppletonBaptist.com. AppletonBaptist.com. Food drives, prayers, financial donations, all help. They have rented 2 old grocery stores. They're open 7 days a week for donations, and they distribute every Monday and Friday. The motto at Appleton Baptist Church is taking Jesus as he is to people as they are. And you can get involved and help feed the hungry. Go to the website, AppletonBaptist.com. You know, there is someone hungry in your world tonight. So as you're seated tonight at your dinner table, enjoying the mashed potato and steak off the barbecue grill, remember that there are many people in our communities, in our world, that are not as fortunate as you are. So please consider donating your time, funds, and food to your local food bank or food pantry. And as you enjoy the barbecue tonight, please remember them. Check on the widows, elderly, and the orphans as well. You can donate in the Appleton, Tennessee area to Appleton Baptist Church. They have a food pantry there that would love your support. And there are many food pantries all over America. We need to feed this nation in more ways than one, but one way that we can literally feed them is with food. Get involved and make a difference. Do you love God and do you love America? If you do, you're going to love this radio show, the Macil Duncan Radio Show, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. right here at Destiny Life Media, 96.9 FM. You can also hear the show live and archives of the show at streetlevelamerica.com and usaheartbeat.com. Also hear it at MacilDuncanRadio.com, Rumble, X, Truth Social, Facebook, and more. And we're working on growing the show nationwide. The Patriot Pastor of Appleton Baptist Church, he is Macil Duncan on the Macil Duncan Radio Show.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the show. This is Macil Duncan, live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, broadcasting on the Macil Duncan Radio Show. And we are doing the USHeartbeat.com and StreetLevelAmerica.com. Right now, they have me in 37 states. As of today, I found out at a meeting, we are growing the show, and we've got some more stations and platforms carrying the show. So thank you all that do that, and special thanks also to SGM Alabama Radio, New Jersey Freedom Network, the Tennessee Conservative Network, God in Politics platform, the Revolver Media in Indiana, and also the Macil Duncan Radio that has us on Facebook, X, Rumble, and all the others. I've got right now Maria Wagner, who is with us, and she is a Chicago patriot that's come down to Tennessee. Maria, how's things going today?
Things are going wonderful. We loved our move from Chicago to Tennessee. We absolutely love Chattanooga.
Do you sometimes miss the Windy City?
Well, I miss our friends, and we went to visit a few times this summer, and it was good to get back and to have some decent pizza.
Yes, Chicago pizza. I've been told Chicago deep dish is the best. Is that the case?
I know they say we're known for the deep dish, but it really, we like the thin crust too. So that's pretty much what our family likes.
I like New York pizza. When I visit New York, I've been in New York several times. Just go find a little dive in the corner somewhere, some little Italian dive. Oh my gosh! Now you can wring the grease off, but boy, it tastes so good. Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Oh no, I don't like that, but yeah, I just the real Italian, good sauce, good cheese.
Strombolis, you like those too? And anyway, I love all Italian. Hey, let's jump into some Moms for America talk. You guys have the Tucker Carlson tour coming up, and it sounds like you got some bonus guests on the tour. Who are they, and what's going on?
Yeah, we've been dying for them to announce it. We got actually J.D. Vance is going to be joining us in Hershey, Pennsylvania, which is one of the stops that I'm scheduled to be working.
J.D. Vance, the man.
I know. I'm so excited.
And Kelly, Megyn Kelly announced, I heard on her podcast, that Tucker asked her to join. So sounds like Tucker's just going to bring. Tucker's going to bring some superstars to join. He's already a superstar himself. But what did you think about? I don't know if you heard, but Kamala Harris tried to say that Tucker supported her gun policy or something. And
really?
Oh yeah, he exposed it, but I'll see if I can still find it. But she made some statement, and of course he came right out and exposed it. Said that's not true, but you wonder why people make false statements, especially if you're running for president of the United States. You know it's going to get fact checked. At least it should.
Oh, for sure.
Let's see. It was one of the lead stories here.
Especially an outdoorsman like him,
Here, Tucker Carlson wins the internet trolls Kamala Harris with a savage fake letter after she pretended Tucker wrote her supporting her gun control theory view. Is that not crazy?
That is crazy. Why would she even think to do that? And why did her handlers allow her to say that?
I don't know. Guess what else just dropped? FBI releases photos of Thomas Crook's rifle and explosive devices, claims would-be Trump assassin had mixture of ideologies, but motive unknown.
Yeah, motive unknown. They're just not going to release the motive, and especially his ties to offshore bank accounts too, right?
Well, the thing I think is funny about that situation, they keep using that picture of him from the 8th or 9th grade. If you see the videos, he's much more taller. He has long hair. There's pictures of him with makeup on. Evidently, maybe he was dabbling in transgenderism. But he was, they make him look like a little 8th grade kid. He was a grown fella. He looked to be about a good 6 foot 6'1", if not larger. And anyway, there's a lot of stuff coming out about this, but there's a picture of him on the phone with somebody when he's on the roof. Have you seen that picture? Yeah. Who's he talking to? If he's a lone shooter, was he like saying bye to mom and dad or what? And plus the other interesting thing was the state police went to his house and it had been completely wiped down. They said no garbage, no DNA anywhere. All the utensils, everything was gone.
And who arranged for that?
Oh, exactly. I mean, that's no coinky dinks.
Right.
I think they thought Trump was going to get assassinated. They were going to kill him. The kid probably thought somehow he was going to live through this. And anyway, but the Trump. Did you hear what Trump said to Dr. Phil?
No.
I played it earlier. He said, "God saved me." He goes, he has no. He goes, when I look back at the, he says he's re-looked at the. He said, he goes, he goes, I never looked to the right like that. When you watch my speech, he goes, I never, and I never have a chart like that. He goes, it's just for some reason I wanted to show that chart. He goes, at that very second, he goes, if I had not turned my head, I'd be dead.
It definitely is a God thing, and I love that. It seems like when he's given the opportunity, he gives credit to the Lord when he talks about that failed attempt.
Yeah, it's amazing how that wasn't that long ago, but they try not to talk about it, but it just resurfaces in a news cycle. And so, what do you think about the Telegram guy getting arrested in France?
You know, I just saw that the other day, and it's so disappointing because, I mean, it's heartbreaking because isn't he being bullied to divulge, like, company secrets, and is that why he was arrested? Like, they want to censor him?
Yeah, he's officially been indicted, the Telegram founder in France. He's a dual citizen, I think, of Russia and France, if I'm not mistaken. But Telegram was a big friendly site for the QAnon people because they said they were never sent, they could talk freely, and evidently he was a big fan of free speech, but they're accusing him that child sex traffickers, drugs, and terrorists were using his site. But what's interesting is shortly after all this, Mark Zuckerberg feels a need to throw the White House under the bus and said in a letter he said the White House strong-armed him to let them create the COVID narrative, and to conservatives like you and I about ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, shut our sites down or mark them non-factual. Do you think
Hunter's laptop?
Do you think that the timing of this though is interesting? Telegram guy gets arrested, Zuckerberg drafts a letter and goes public.
You know, I have so many questions about Zuckerberg. It's like, you've been so smug in front of Congress for quite some time. So why all of a sudden now are you coming clean? I mean, is there a whistleblower that's about to come out for him?
Well, Elon Musk did a lot to expose that the government did control Twitter back when it was under Jack Dorsey. And that the Homeland Security, the FBI, CIA, they all had operatives that came in, and on a weekly basis, sometimes more, they would pretty much control the narrative. And, and when Elon says, "Nah, I'm just going to let free speech happen," and he reinstated Alex Jones, Donald Trump, etc. Did you know? I think I've not been harassed on Facebook like I have been in the past.
Are you saying you're being harassed more now?
No, I'm saying I'm not. But I had an account. I lost an account that I had for 16 years because I allowed truckers from Canada. They were calling in on my show using Messenger.
Yeah.
And they said that my account had been hijacked by a foreign agent or something. Anyway, I sent in my driver's license, passport, and let them know who I was. But I lost all those contacts, all those pictures. But that was in 2016. I used to do a thing called the Red Hat Video before I was on the radio. I was just sitting in my truck doing like some of these other people, and then someone heard me, gave me a radio show, and the rest is history. But the thing that I think is interesting is the social media. Telegram guy gets arrested. Zuckerberg writes a letter, and of course, then Elon Musk, they said that someone was going to arrest him. He said, "Go blank yourself." So we got to go to a commercial break. Hold that thought. Okay.
Hello, my name's Dave. I'm a Vietnam veteran and live in North Georgia, not far from East Ridge, Tennessee. I like listening to Patriot Pastor Macil Duncan. He keeps up with fast-moving news, which keeps me on the cutting edge of information that we all need to know. I like the music and stories he has. I like that he helps the homeless folk, and we could all help with that. I love God, and America is my country. Thank you for all that you do. Goodbye.
WVMG Chattanooga. We are growing better together all the time. Those are the words of Dr. Steve Ball of Metro Tabernacle Church in Chattanooga, Tennessee. One of the ways that they grow is with life groups. It's very important for you to get connected in a small group so you can develop relationships and hold each other accountable. Dr. Ball says they believe that Metro Tab is growing larger and smaller at the same time. Life groups are an important part in developing relationships with others who share your interests and are dealing with similar life issues. Why don't you get connected? Check out life groups and the many other offerings at Metro Tabernacle Church in Chattanooga, Tennessee. They want to be involved in your life. The address is 2101 West Shepherd Road, just off Highway 153 at the airport exit. It is time for the Church of Jesus Christ to roar. That is one of the core principles of Metro Tabernacle Church in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Their mission is to restore the roar in the body of Christ by establishing a foundation of faith in the Word of God through the power and demonstration of His Holy Spirit. They will reclaim the original intent of God for the church through training, equipping, releasing believers, and raising up leaders who will carry the roar of the Lion of the tribe of Judah to build strong local churches. And we all need that. You can find out more information by going to their website, myroar.org. Metro Tabernacle Church is located at 2101 West Shepherd Road, at the airport exit off of Highway 153 in Chattanooga. Let's roar. It is time for Christians to roar, to make a difference in the community. That is the belief of Metro Tabernacle Church and Dr. Steve Ball. They have the School of Roar. The School of Roar is hosting a summer 2024 The Prophetic. Classes open to everyone, and registration is free. Do you want to learn how to work more in the prophetic? Attend one of the class schedules. Registration deadline June 2nd. There will be a class Tuesday, June 18th at 6:30 p.m. and one again July 16th at 6:30 p.m. You can register at the website metrotab.net or myroar.org. That is myroar.org. It is time for the church to roar.
Welcome back to the show, my friend. Macil Duncan here, live from Chattanooga, Tennessee. I've got Marie Wagner with me, Moms for America. And if you'd like to contact Maria, it's in the runner, but you can go to Maria, M-A-R-I-A, at momsforamerica.net. That's Maria at momsforamerica.net. Maria Wagner from Chicago to Chattanooga. But then you go all over the world. How many trips have you been on for Moms for America? You pretty much have the frequent flyer miles, don't you?
Yeah, I just been blessed to be a part of an amazing organization of mama bears that love God, love country, and I'm excited to be going on the Tucker Tour very, very soon.
And I know we're not prepared to talk about it today, but you've got your own podcast that'll be coming out in a few weeks. So maybe next week we can tell some more, but congratulations on getting that.
Thank you. I'm just so excited to share, the resources we have at Moms for America and how it connects to what's going on in our culture right now and what we can do to help unite the moms across America.
Well, I tell you what, strong patriot mothers, I think, are a big reason why because I go back to the Me Too movement when they thought they were going to turn the women against Donald Trump, and it flip-flopped and went against Harvey Weinstein, Epstein, etc. And then I just think the mama bears ignited through the school meetings and the different community meetings. Y'all just said, I'm going to be heard. I'm tired of my kids becoming, just lab rats for these crazy theories.
And it's very daunting and intimidating to fight the school boards or to fight all these issues that are in culture that seem to be coming after our kids. And that's where we come in to help support the moms and give them the resources they need to join that fight.
I think one person that you've got to meet is Kirk Cameron, and how he proved in a way, because he writes a very kid-friendly kind of Christian themed book, and there were libraries that were giving him a hard time, but they would let the transgenders come in, guys dressed like women, and I think that showed our education system has got some real wackadoodles in there.
It really does, and I love that he has that movement, see you at the library, and a lot of our moms across the country participated in that, and they're doing it again. He even has, it's the Answer to book clubs. He has a very good, wholesome book club that other schools can get their books from instead of Scholastic, which unfortunately doesn't have great books anymore.
Well, I was told, Jolene shared with me that I guess it's, is it Wisconsin that Waltz is from? Minnesota, they've got something that's passed that you can't be a Christian teacher or a Muslim teacher. People of faith, if you somehow identify as that can keep you from being hired in the public schools there in Minnesota.
And how can that be legal?
I don't know.
With freedom of religion, how can that be legal, what he's trying to do?
A lot of that thing that guy does, I wonder if deep down they regret getting him, or I've also floated the theory, I think they know Trump's going to win. I wonder if they completely picked a very left-leaning, they just want to see where the country sits. And see what kind, how well is their education and their crap going. That's just a theory of mine, because I mean, without cheating, I don't see how Harris and Waltz can win. Especially with Kennedy and these other folks coming over, and Kennedy even bragged that there's more coming. He said there's more significant Democrats that are coming as well. Did he? Yeah. So. Interesting that he would say that.
Well, and then you see Kamala flip-flopping on all these issues. She's pro-building the wall and, no tax on tips. It's like, if anyone hasn't been living under a rock and been paying attention, you're just like, what are you doing?
Well, his Kennedy's vice president, Shanahan, was on the Chris Cuomo News Nation, and she gave $100 million to Democrats this election cycle, and has chosen to now walk away and support Trump. I mean,
that just speaks volumes.
I can't imagine having $100 million, but if I gave that much money to a party, they must have done something really offensive for her to say, "I'm leaving you and I'm joining the other team."
Right. Good point. Yeah, because it's like you just threw it away, basically, right?
Well, Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, has left them, and I wonder if it's over his son. I guess you know about that story.
Absolutely.
And that's because he said they lied to him and they tricked him, and of course now his son's a girl. She's he, she, whatever, cannot have children, and he said, it's like a death. And
it is. And to me, it's a death cult. They're just ruining young people's lives intentionally.
Well, Moms for America, you guys have so many resources. Do you have resources for parents when their children are struggling with some of these sexual identity theologies that are thrown at them in school?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we have partnered with some of the best subject experts all over the country, one of them being January Littlejohn. She is a very outspoken mama bear. If you look her up, she is partnered with DoNoHarm.org. They fight the transgenderism cult, but we have given webinars on this topic. We held a press conference in D.C. a year ago where we teamed up with Epoch Times because they have a documentary about this and exposing the lies and exposing showing the truth of what it is doing to children. It's endless, the resources we have for moms, and it's all free. You can just go to our website and you can check out all of the resources.
And that's at Moms for America, and then they can get these resources, and I just a great organization. Well, guess what just dropped on the news cycle? Just in, Supreme Court blocks Harris regime and Biden from stealing taxpayer money to cancel student loan debt. This is the second ruling. This is the second ruling. Why do you think Biden thought he could go around the first ruling?
Because they're doing it constantly with so many different overreaching quote unquote laws that they're trying to put in place.
Do you think Biden finishes? Do you think Biden finishes, or do you think they, if they know she can't win, do you think they go ahead and make her the first female, have him step out, even if it's just for a few months, and let her be, break the glass ceiling, be the first female president?
Do I think they'll do that?
Yeah.
They may have no choice. I mean, we just don't know how long he's gonna last in office right now. I mean, he's vacationing now, I guess, supposedly.
Well, he set a record, but now he broke it. He has now been on vacation more days than in supposedly working.
Well, he's been on a mental vacation more days too.
Well, I'm just saying, and but the interesting thing is he must have some cognizance because he's still mad at Nancy Pelosi. And she even admitted that in an interview finally that she goes, I had to do what I had to do.
Oh, interesting.
And you remember she said this before he stepped down, Joe, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. But CMI, there was a leak. They said, CMI reporter said that she was going to talk Democrats into joining the Republicans and impeaching him. Because remember, they brought all that stuff up and said there were grounds for impeachment, but they chose not to.
Oh,
just here recently.
Are you saying it was a joint effort between Republicans and Democrats?
She threatened him, said, "Listen, I'll ruin your legacy if you don't stop. I'll help get you impeached, and because you can't win." They said because the polling. I mean, I don't know how they got it the first time. I think you're with me. We think the election was definitely stolen.
Yes.
But more and more folks are believing that, and independents are actually now leaning that way. And so I think it's there's a higher group of folks leaning towards independent candidates. But I think that's why they made it so hard on Kennedy, because he was so likable. In the polls, his favorability was higher than Trump or Biden. Do you remember that?
Wow, I didn't know that.
He was at 57% likability. Trump was like at 52, and so I don't know how they did this. And then Biden didn't even break 45. But I think this. By the way, I had a Democratic strategist on my show earlier, and he agreed if Dean Phillips and Kennedy had been able to primary Joe Biden, one of them probably would have won the election.
Really?
And been the Democratic candidate. But he's careful. He's got to be careful what he says. But, well, yeah, but it's interesting. But he and I talked about this, and I don't know. Do you have any Democratic friends?
There are a few family members too.
I've got some, and actually I've made more since I've got a radio show, because some of them like to give me their kickback, and which is good. But I asked him, I said, Matt, how do we keep friends? Like he and I can go have a burger and talk, and he's, of course his father, his whole family's Republican and very conservative, but he served in the Army, and he leans Democrat, and that's his choice. I said, why can't we get to a point where we respect other people's, opposite choices from ours as far as like political and stuff? And he agreed that we need, and that's where I think Kennedy's come in. That speech he gave when he succeeded,
right?
That I like what the Federalist said. He said that wasn't Republican or Democrat, that was American.
I know, and I've been meaning to watch it. I have it ready on Rumble to watch, and I heard it was amazing.
Well, I was so touched. I contacted the Kennedy campaign today. I sent it. I called in and talked to one of the people. And this, I want to tell you, I'm a Trumper, I'm a conservative, but I was very touched by the way he's handled this and what he had to say. And she gave me an email, so I sent him an email. She says he'll want to hear that. Send this. And so I sent it a nice to him and Shanahan. Said, listen, both of you guys, I am very impressed with how you've handled yourself. You didn't leave bitter, but
because he's the old school Democrat, right?
What's that? He said this is not the Democratic Party my father and uncle, if they were alive today, would recognize.
Exactly.
And I got to be honest with you. I've got folks that are older that have told me this Democratic Party has changed, and it's actually the Republican Party that's become more the blue collar and the worker. The Republicans used to be for the rich and the money, and Chris Cuomo did a big thing. He went down on the floor of the DNC and he scanned and he showed all these those private booths and whatever they rent, and told how much they rented for. And he said, do you think the Boy Scouts of America can afford that, or a teachers union? And he went on, he goes, they've become elitist. And he kind of shamed the DNC. Shocker.
Wow. Yeah. I guess Chris is waking up a little bit.
Well, I think a lot of them are. Now, a Democrat official found guilty of murdering Las Vegas Review-Journal reporter who exposed his corruption extramarital affair. Wow, that just dropped.
Whoa.
I got to click on this now, see if we can get a name. This is the Gateway Pundit now reporting this, but evidently a guy murdered a reporter. Let's see. These computers are so slow sometimes.
Was it the reporter was going to expose this person?
Well, it says Nevada Democrat official found guilty of murdering Las Vegas Review-Journal reporter who exposed his corruption and extramarital affair. So Robert Tellis, the Democrat Clark County official, accused of fatally stabbing a Las Vegas Review-Journal investigative reporter, September 2022. Oh, so I guess it's been in for a while. But Jeff German, 69, was found stabbed to death in front of his home September 2022. And so, wow. So,
yeah.
What do you think about that? I mean, I guess he's ruined, so he just thought, I'll just go kill the guy. But now he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison. Oh,
unreal.
Wow. What do you think about, we got 10 minutes left in the show, with the election coming? I asked Jolene this. Trump's got maybe, I think he's got two, out of the 4 years, he's really got two good years. His first 2 years, because I think he'll be a red wave. I think he'll get the Senate and the House. But midterms, the Democrats will take one. They always do, vice versa. And his last 2 years may be lame duck. Who do you think picks up the mantle in the future for the GOP? Do you see Kennedy or one of these Democrat crossovers, or will it be a GOP, or do you think they'll splinter after Trump's gone?
You know, I would really hope that the momentum he has right now, the way he's uniting people like we've never seen before, I would only hope and pray that he could leave the presidency and they'll be united and not splintered.
I would hope so, but greed is a very, very, very obvious thing, and I think, Mitt Romney showed himself. I mean, Mitt Romney always was the smiling, looked like he was doing a toothpaste commercial every time he talked, and then when Trump got the nomination, he went nuts. And I think we saw the true Mitt Romney. And Ronna McDaniel, his niece, you think about it, ever since she took over the GOP, 2018 and all, we lost every election. And I got to wonder if she put her thumb on the scale and did things to undermine Trump because they didn't want him to be successful.
You know, it does look that way, and why she had stepped down. So, yeah, I would believe that for sure.
Well, Vivek kind of, when he had that moment and offered her to come here and resign, once he did that, it was like the pressure was on. And I think everyone just woke up and said, yeah, ever since it wasn't Trump, she was the leader of the GOP party. And look at Mike Steele, the former GOP party. He's over on CNN and trashes conservatives.
And who is that?
Mike Steele. Is that his name?
Okay.
Yeah, the black gentleman that used to be over the GOP party.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, he is so liberal and goes off on conservatives, and I think the GOP needed a cleansing and getting some real leadership. And I think Laura Trump's good in there, but I'm just wondering in 2028, because I'm hoping J.D. Vance can do it. I just don't know. We'll see in time. I'd never heard of him till Trump picked him, but I wonder if
we knew of him, but we didn't know a whole lot about him.
What does Moms for America in y'all's find it? Have y'all found anything about him that concerns you?
I haven't done my own research, to be honest, but I really am looking forward. I hope I have the opportunity to meet him on the tour in Hershey, Pennsylvania, is where he's going to be Tucker's special guest. So,
well,
we haven't done a whole lot of research yet.
He's got a lot of good attributes and family man and all that. But I'm just amazed when you start thinking of Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, former Democrats come over. You got Kennedy, of course, his running mate Shannon, Vivek, who was in pharmaceutical, made all his money in Big Pharma and walked away from them. Tulsi Gabbard. And a
lot of rappers now. That's pretty extreme, too.
Well, Joe Manchin left the Democratic Party and became independent. I wonder if he's kind of teeter-tottering, maybe coming over to Trump.
Yeah, you wonder if that's just a stepping stone.
Well, I like him. Joe Manchin, I don't know if I would vote for him, but I like him just because he would be the one Democrat of reason, especially when Joe Biden first became president. Do you remember he was the one that would not go along, and they would say which Joe was running D.C. because he would question his party, and I'm going, wow, thank you, Joe. And he would not vote for certain things, and they would get real mad at him. But anyway,
one of the very few that stood his ground and didn't follow along.
Yeah, I just wanted the future there. Well, as we get ready to go, how can folks contact Maria Wagner and Moms for America?
Well, you can go to momsLMS4FORAmerica.us. That's our website. We have incredible, like I said earlier, resources, great podcasts that we have as well. And if people have questions about our organization, you can reach me, Maria, M-A-R-I-A, at momsforamerica.net.
Okay. Well, Maria, thanks for being on the show today, and can't wait for your new podcast and to hear the adventures of Maria as you travel with Tucker Carlson and all the others.
I can't wait.
God bless. Tell Mark I said hello.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Maria. That's Maria Wagner with Moms for America. She's always a delight to have on the show and does so many good things. As we're wrapping up the show today, today's Wednesday. I'll be back tomorrow, and as you're getting ready for the holiday break this weekend, I encourage you to think about the hungry. We have a Appleton Food Pantry. As you know, we feed 3,000 or more people a month. And you say, how do you get that number? Well, we keep up with all the families we feed, and we only count them one time. Even though we're open Mondays and Friday, and we feed many of these families weekly and twice a week, we only count them one time a month. 1,400 family units. Say we're averaging 3 per family. That's well over 3,000 people. But we try to be we don't want to be one of these that jack up our numbers. But if you'd like to send a donation, we'd appreciate any help. www.appisonbaptist.com. That's appisonbaptist.com. We would appreciate if you would consider giving. Also, don't forget my book, Move Your Mountains, Learn the Journey of Faith. Right now, Thrift Books has a sale. You can get my book for $13.81. There's a sale, I think, on all books this weekend. So go to Thrift Books and look for Move Your Mountains, and I would appreciate if you consider buying my book. And as we get ready to close out, I want to remind you that this country is, I think, worth battling for. What I mean by that is prayer. Prayer, prayer, prayer. Every Christian, if we would pray. I don't know if you heard earlier in the show, my friend Matt, that's a Democratic strategist, said we have a huge group of people that are registered but don't vote. Don't be one of those that says, I don't care. Please, don't let them think your vote doesn't matter. If we could get 70% of Americans to literally show up and vote, whether you're liberal, conservative, Green Party, Blue Party, Scooby-Doo, 70%, if we could get that many to vote, it would blow up the algorithms. They couldn't cheat, and we would actually see, what does America want? That's what I'd like to see. A very fair election with a majority of Americans voting. I don't know. That's just me. God bless, Godspeed, and don't forget we're one nation under God. I love this song.
In the heart of these small town roads, where the story's old but true, we used to bow our heads in prayer, we'd pledge allegiance to. Now the lights are flickering, the signs all point to fall, where that spirit gold that used to stand so tall. Factory stands are empty, schools don't teach no more. Folks drive by the church like it's something to ignore. We used to hold our ground with hands together tight, but the unity we had has vanished in the night. This country's going to hell, can't you hear the warning bell? What once was one nation under God has disappeared. We the people soon be no more if we don't take a stand. It's time to raise that flag and put God back in this land. We got preachers out on Main Street shouting at the skies, but nobody's listening, too busy with the lies. The family dinner's cold now, faith broke at the seams. It's high time to awake and chase those old dreams. Fields are overgrown, tractors left to rust. Where's the honor and the pride, the values that we trust? Cemeteries filled with souls who knew the way it was. We need to reawaken and fix this just because this country's going to hell. Can't you hear the warning bell? What once was one nation under God has disappeared. We the people soon be no more if we don't take a stand. It's time to raise that flag and put God back in this land.